Hello, Tess. Good morning, Naura.
Hello, hello. Good morning.
can hear destiny calling, calling out my name. Failure and dreams both offering, but both offering change. Surrender offers rest, I'd die for peace. Don't need your protection, don't need no shield. Now watch me bleed, now watch me bleed, now watch me bleed, now watch me bleed. The winds of life are blowing, it brings doubt like rain. But I would roar like thunder, and I would storm like hail. Rise and fall, both beckoning, both offer change. But I need a bolt of lightning and embrace the pain. Embrace the pain, embrace the pain. Now watch me feed, now watch me feed, now watch me feed, now watch me feed. Now watch me feed, now watch me feed, now watch me feed. Failure is not an option, I will not just survive. Freedom is near, I choose to thrive. I will live full force, never on my knees. I will smash the door if I can't find the keys. I will not back down, I will not yield. Just like William Wallace, I need no shield. I am different, I am not the same. 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 I'm different, I am not the same. I am not the same. I am not the same. I am not the I can hear destiny calling, calling out my name. Failure and dreams both offering, but both offering change. Surrender offers rest, but I'd die for peace. Don't need your protection, don't need no shield. Now watch me bleed, now watch me bleed, now watch me bleed, now watch me bleed. The winds of life are blowing, it brings doubt like rain. But I would roar like thunder, and I would storm like hail. Rise and fall, both beckoning, both offer change. But I need a bolt of lightning and embrace the pain. Embrace the pain, embrace the pain. Now watch me feed, now watch me feed, now watch me feed, now watch me option, I will not just survive. Freedom is near, I choose to thrive. I will live full force, never on my knees. I will smash the door if I can't find the keys. I will not back down, I will not yield. Just like William Wallace, I need no shield. I am different, I am not the same. I am not the same. I
Attention to all participants. The program will begin shortly. Please make sure your internet reception is at its best and make yourself comfortable during the viewing. At the end of the sessions, there will be a question and answer session. To those who have further inquiries, you may state your question in the comment section provided with your full name and your institution. Your cooperation is much appreciated. Thank you. To all participants, please get ready to sing Malaysia's national anthem, Negaraku, and Sultan Idris Education University's Ibu Kandung Suluh Budiman.
Ibu kandung suluh budiman, oh budi malam gelap, bina budi penyebar tekad, pancaran semangat wajah. Ibu kandung suluh budiman, ibu pujaan kami yang berjasa pada masyarakat, hidup gagah berani. Ibu kandung suluh budiman, dengarlah sumpah sumbangsi dan suci. Selagi hayat di kandung badan, kami tetap berbakti. Selagi hayat di kandung badan, kami tetap berbakti.
Good morning and greetings to everyone. Miss Sinoreta Sining, UK Ambassadors, National University of Malaysia, Malaysia, Mr. Emmanuel Mirus Esponon, Filipino Youth Advocate di La Salle University, Philippines, Ms. Naura Azahra, Local Committee Vice President of AIE SEC in BINUS and Vice President of People Management Gerpres, BINUS University, Indonesia, Ms. Farah Adila binti Azim, Publicity, Information and Public Relation Executive Committee, Harun Aminurrashid Residential College Student Council, Sultan Idris Education University, Malaysia, Mr. Cartesius Edwin, Program Director, Webinar Green Where You Are, Sultan Idris Education University, Fellow and Administration of Harun Aminurrashid Residential College, Presidents and Student Councils of Residential College, Webinar Green Where You Are committee members, and students of higher education institutions in Southeast Asia. First and foremost, let us all praise the Lord for giving us the chance to participate in today's program. For your information, Webinar Green Where You Are is an international discourse webinar. whereby the panelists are from 4 different countries in Southeast Asia, which are Malaysia, Philippines, Indonesia, and Singapore. Through this program, it is hoped to increase public awareness, especially students, on issues related to the conservation and preservation of nature. Besides that, through this program also, it is hoped to encourage exchanges focused on the practice of green culture between different countries. Dearest participants, to bless today's program, let us begin with the recitation of Al-Fatiha.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
Dearest participants, before we proceed with the main event, I would like to first introduce today's moderator, Mr. Kaltesius Edwin. Our moderator for today's program is Kaltesius Edwin. He is currently in his 3rd year of Bachelor of Education, Physics with Honors, and he is a Vice Secretary of Harun Aminurrashid Residential College Student Council, Session 2021-2020, Sultan Idris Education University, and was former Unity and Integration Executive Committee, Harun Aminurrashid Residential College Student Council, Session 2020-2021, Sultan Idris Education University. And for the important highlights, Mr. Kaltesius Edwin is a first runner-up for National Principals Debate Competition 2021 and second runner-up for Speak with Evidence Public Speaking Competition 2021. In 2020, he is a first runner-up for Cultural Dialogue Competition Culture Tour Blinded by the Light 2020 and a second runner-up for International Talk Master Youth is a Gift of Nature 2.0 Public Speaking Competition 2019. And now, without further ado, the stage is yours.
Thank you for the warm welcome, Mistress of Ceremony, Miss Nurul Farhana. Am I audible? Anyone? Can you hear me? Sound check? All right. So hello, everyone. Good morning. It is currently 9:20 in the morning in Malaysia. How are you feeling today? I hope you are doing great wherever you are and whatever you are doing while viewing today's program. First thing first, let's take a look at who we have with us in this program. Miss Sinorita Sining, UK Ambassador, National University of Malaysia, Malaysia. Mr. Emmanuel Mirus Esponon, Filipino Youth Advocate, De La Salle University, Philippines. Ms. Naura Azahara, Local Committee Vice President of ISAC in Binus and Vice President of People Management Girl Press, Binus University, Indonesia. Ms. Farah Adila binti Azim, Publicity, Information and Public Relation Executive Committee, Harun Aminurrashid Residential College Student Council, Sultan Idris Education University, Malaysia. Fellow and Administration of Harun Aminurrashid Residential College, Presidents and Student Councils of Residential College, Webmina Green Where You Are committee members, and students of higher institution in Southeast Asia. I am Carl Tatius Edwin, and I will be your moderator for today's program, Webinar Green Where You Are. Ladies and gentlemen, especially viewers on YouTube, for your information, this program, Webinar Green Where You Are, is an international discourse about the importance of conservation and preservation of nature to encourage people from all over the world to be more attentive of the environment. To put it short, raising awareness among humans wherever they are on earth. The program will be a discussion among 5 panels from 4 different countries, which are Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, and Singapore. Unfortunately, our panel from Singapore cannot join us today because she has to catch a flight from Washington, D.C. to Asia. However, she has prepared something for us for the program. Today's discussion will be revolving based on 4 rounds. In the first round, the panels will introduce themselves. Meanwhile, the focus for the second round will be a sharing from the panels about the implementation of the concept green, or in another word, conservation and preservation of nature in each of the panel's country. Moving on to the third round, in this round, we will be hearing about the current issues on environment that is happening around the world that is in need of our attention as a human. In the final round, panels will share ways to address the issues on environment that were discussed in the previous round, round 3. Ladies and gentlemen, especially viewers on YouTube, be sure to be all ears as we are about to enter the first round. Without further ado, let's enter round 1, guest panelists introduction. In this round, the panels will introduce themselves so that we can get to know them better, as in who they are, and what will they be discussing for today's program. Who knew there might be someone that will make you restless? Straight away, let's get to know our first panel from Malaysia, Miss Senorita Sining. The stage is yours.
Hello everyone, good morning. How are you guys feeling? I hope you guys are feeling well today. And technical team, can I ask for my slide please? Okay, can you guys see my slide now? Okay, cool. Okay, so once again, everyone, good morning and salam sejahtera, selamat pagi to everyone. My name is Senorita Sining and I am from Malaysia, from Ranau, Sabah. Do you guys know the Mount Kinabalu? That's where I'm from. Yes, that's Ranau, Sabah. Yes. And I am a third year student from National University of Malaysia, UKM, taking Bachelor of Science, Marine Science. And I am here representing UKM Ambassadors or UKM Global Buddies, and I am currently the Vice President. But also I am also in 2 of the NGOs in Sabah, which is Komuhakan Movement. Komuhakan Movement is more to a cultural NGO, and Malaysia Ocean Youth Ambassador, Moya, as an ambassador. Next slide, please. So I'm gonna tell you guys a bit about Moya, or Malaysian Ocean Youth Ambassador. And this organization or this program is a chance for young passionate Malaysians between ages of 18 to 26 just to flex their eco muscle and harness their leadership skills as future change makers in climate action. So Moya worked closely with marine and coastal community based in Sabah, and understanding how changing environment impacts their lives on daily basis, our lives. And Moya is funded by the GEF, Small Grants Program, SGP, implemented by the United Nations Development Program, UNDP. And the main objective is empowering youth to mobilize climate action through environmental education and storytelling with marine and coastal communities by nurturing and empowering youth to play active roles in climate change awareness and mitigation, and also aim to harness the power of storytelling to engage and connect communities with the sustainable practices. So you guys can check out this social media to know more about Moya in Facebook, Malaysia Ocean Youth Ambassador, and also in Instagram, oceanyouth.my. And anything you want to ask about coastal or wants to collab, you can feel free to reach out to us. So I think that's from me. Thank you.
Wonderful, Miss Senorita. A vice president for UK ambassador, a member in cultural organization, and also an ambassador for Moya. Thank you for the wonderful introduction about yourself just now, Miss Senorita. Really appreciate it. All right, moving on to our second panel for today's program. Although our panel, this panel, Miss Alice Sowito from Singapore is not with us, but she has prepared something for us in today's program. Technical team.
Hi everyone, my name is Alice Suido. I'm a Climate Program Associate at the Nature Conservancy, and I'm so sorry I couldn't make it here today. I'm actually based in Washington, D.C., but my flight to go back there was delayed and rescheduled, so when you're seeing this, I'm actually on a flight back. I recently graduated from Cornell University. I studied environmental science, and I graduated last year in May. And I got this job last year in July or August. And basically, international climate policy surrounds this process by the UN Framework Convention for Climate Change, also known as the UNFCCC. And I follow processes such as the Conference of Parties, also known as COP, and follow relevant negotiation streams that happen preceding and after COP as well. And my specialization really focuses on adaptation. So adaptation really is what is a key missing part of how we're going to survive from climate change as a society. Traditionally and historically, we've always been talking about how can we mitigate or how can we prevent climate change from happening. But the unfortunate reality is that climate change is happening, and we're projecting and hoping that we can limit it to 1.5 degrees Celsius or 2 degrees Celsius, depending on which Paris Agreement goals, how ambitious you want to be. Hopefully we can hit that 1.5 and never even think about 2. But the point is, with these temperature rises and sea level rises associated with 1.5, how can we make sure that communities are resilient to this? For example, coastal communities with sea level rise, or places that experience lots of drought, how can they, become more resilient? And so what I do is really elevate the importance of adaptation, resilience, and relevant financial flows to go into those projects so, real action can take place by putting money where the real need is. And so trying to bring that on an international scale, finding international funding, getting international consensus and awareness on adaptation and finance is really important. And I think you're going to see that a lot this year. So the next COP will be in Egypt, and it's also being called the African COP. And there'll be an extremely strong focus on adaptation and finance. And so mostly my work really talks about engaging with the government, seeing how we can elevate stronger policies, and then how to really implement those things on the ground. So that's my introduction, and I'll be answering the further questions as well along the way. Thank you.
What a wonderful video Miss Alice has prepared for us. Thank you for the wonderful video just now, Miss Alice. I hope you are safe wherever you are currently from Washington, D.C. Ladies and gentlemen, moving on to our third panel from the Philippines, Mr. Emmanuel Mirus S. Ponon. Without further ado, the stage is yours, Sir Emmanuel.
All right, thank you so much to the energetic Carl. I would have been like the Singapore delegate, but hello to everyone that is present here today. Hello to the two wonderful ladies beside me that are amazing panelists. I can already assume that I was supposed to miss this. I want this to be conversational and formal. I'm Emmanuel, my respondent from the Philippines. You can call me Myros. It sounds easy. COVID-19 didn't help that. What I would tell individuals is to just change virus is V with an M. It's because, you don't really get to meet people that are named Myros. I'm in Denver, Colorado. I'm in the United States. And so I was about to eat dinner, and then Carl messaged me because it was already time for the event. I do miss the Philippines. I do miss Southeast Asia. But, I really consider myself, I just want to be introduced as a Filipino youth advocate. I'm involved in many organizations. You can take a simple Google search of me. But in today's talk, when it comes to the environment, I will be presenting myself as one of the 7 national youth council members of WWF Philippines. So yes, we work closely with WWF and its chapters all over the world. And I also am leading an initiative under the ASEAN Youth Advocates Network, and it's called the Pass to Plastic Coalition. So, of course, it's a campaign of us just really trying to, restrict carbon emissions, pollution in general for the environment. To share, here in Boulder, Colorado, in the United States, they are actually trying to cut carbon emissions by 50% by next year, which is very interesting. And I may do some field work and research here. I am also a climate reality leader of the Climate Reality Project. So it's not my main advocacy. I will tell you this. I'm really focused on capacity building, on empowerment. But I accepted this invitation because number one, you can't say no to Carl, and number two is that this is I want to give a perspective of everyone should have a social responsibility for the environment. I am not going to be in front of you as an expert, but as someone that cares for the environment, as a polluter, as a consumer, and at the same time, as a producer in so many ways. And so I really look forward to today's discussion. But without further ado, we have I really am expecting a really insightful conversation. And to those that are listening, I hope that you really do listen with an open mind and an open heart. Thank you. Back to you, Carl.
All right, thank you, Emmanuel. Change the V in the virus to get M and Mirus. All right, wonderful, Mr. Emmanuel, just now. Ladies and gentlemen, moving on to our fourth panel for today's program from a neighboring country of Malaysia, Indonesia, Miss Naura Azahara. I'm sorry, the stage is yours.
Okay, hello everyone. Can I have my slides, please? Okay. Okay, thank you. So, hello everyone, and also the fellow speaker, Miss Norita, Farah, and Mayus. Nice to meet you again. So, my name is Naura Azahra. I am currently the local committee vice president of ISAC in Binus University, and I'm also the vice president of people management in Girl Press Indonesia. So basically, what ISAC is a youth leadership organization which aims to develop leadership in youth, and Girl Press is an organization that aims to develop more female leaders. As for educational background, I am currently pursuing my bachelor degree in psychology, specifically in industrial and organizational psychology. Thank you. That's it from me.
Wonderful, Miss Naura. Thank you for the introduction just now. All right, cannot wait to hear from you in the second round and also in the upcoming round. Okay, last but not least, Miss Farah Adila binti Azim, our second panel from Malaysia. The floor is yours.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Carl, for the warm welcome. So I hope everyone can hear me very well. First of all, I would like to take the opportunity to thank Harun Aminurrashid College Student Council for inviting me to this webinar and giving me the opportunity to talk about Green Where You Are. So before I start, I would like to say Assalamualaikum, a very good morning and wonderful morning, and I hope that this morning is a very wonderful morning to you guys also. So first of all, I am honored to be one of the panelists for this international webinar and get to know new friends from different countries such as Naura, Senorita, and Mr. Emmanuel. So a little bit about my background. My name is Farah Adila binti Azim. You can call me Farah. I'm 22 years old from Kuching, Sarawak. I am currently a second year student in Sultan Idris Education University, Malaysia, or also known as UPSI. I currently pursuing Bachelor in Science Mathematics with Education from Faculty of Science and Mathematics, UPSI. So as you see from my pictures, I am also one of the committees from Harun Aminurrashid Residential College Student Council, which is Publicity, Information and Public Relation Executive Committee. So this is also my chance to say that don't forget to like, share, and follow our social media right down below. And so enough about my background. Back to you, Carl. Thank you.
All right, Miss Farah, an aspiring youth leader born in Kuching, Sarawak, Malaysia. What an amazing introduction about your background just now. Whoa, 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 I'm impressed. What a wonderful lineup of panels we have for today's program. I hope through today's program, viewers on YouTube are able to gain useful input to be practiced in their daily life. Nonetheless, wherever you are or whatever you are doing while watching this webinar, be sure to always stay safe from the outbreak that the world is currently facing, COVID-19. If you have the common symptoms such as if you are having fever or coughing, ensure yourself to wear face mask when you are out in the public so that you can prevent from spreading your germs to other people. As the saying goes in Malaysia, hashtag kita jaga kita, or in English, I care for you, you care for me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, after getting to know our panel's background in the first round, we shall proceed to the second round of today's discussion, implementation of green at where you are. Viewers on YouTube, be sure to stay tuned until the very end. For Sultan Idris Education University students, link for attendance will be given out by the end of the program. Be patient because patience is the key to success. All right, the focus for the second round will be a sharing from the panels about the implementation of the concept green, or in another word, conservation and preservation of nature in each of the panel's country. Although we cannot travel to their country, they can bring their country in today's webinar. All right, without wasting any time, let's hear from our first panel from Malaysia. Miss Senorita, the stage is yours again.
Thank you, Carl. Okay, so I'm gonna share what Malaysia is currently doing in order to implement this conservation of nature. Next slide, please. Okay, first of all, at the present, there's no uniform approach in Malaysia to address the single-use plastics. So obviously now I'm talking about plastics. Just as Mr. Myers said just now, we are trying to cut the emission of carbon dioxide, right? But the problem statement is in Malaysia, there's severe plastic pollution in coastal area, in the ocean, in the beaches, in Malaysia. We have a severe plastic pollution problem. And we also are lacking in environmentally friendly, cost-effective alternative. So if you want to go to recycle things, it's not really effective and it doesn't give you much. Yeah, so next, we are low in recycling rates of plastic waste. People don't really go and recycle. They don't really want to recycle because the easiest way is just to simply throw your trash away. And also the absence of uniform policy framework. So because of the absence of uniform policy framework, this roadmap, Malaysia has taken the action to have this roadmap. Next slide, please. Yes, this is a roadmap towards zero single-use plastic in 2018 to 2030. So this roadmap aims to provide a policy direction to all stakeholders, including state governments, in taking a unified and collective approach, and also provide the opportunities for local industries to embrace new eco-friendly alternative that could facilitate the penetration of a wider global market as the world move towards adapting products and process that can address plastic pollution. While Malaysia continues to strive to be a fully developed nation, the economic advances should be balanced with environmental protection to ensure the sustainability and also social well-being. So by this, we are aiming to have zero single plastics usage in 2018 until 2030. So this action plan consists of 3 phases. The first phase was from the year 2018 until 2021. And the second phase from year 2022 to 2025. And the third phase will be 2026 to 2030. So now we are in the second phase of this action plan. Next slide, please. Okay, so what we have done in Malaysia, what the government has done in Malaysia in 2018, it was launched, this action plan was launched, and the Ministry of Housing and Local Government focused on funding, workshops, guiding and monitoring. The next year, 2019, no straw by default practice was carried out, where straw is given by request with no charge. Means if you don't ask for straw, they will not give you out straw. They will not give out straw. But if you ask for straw, they will give you straw without any charge. So the local government authorities nationwide utilize compostable garbage bag for garden waste collection. So they will provide you compostable garbage bag for the cleaning process in the outside of like gardens, shopping malls, and so on. And in 2019 also, states imposed a pollution charge at the minimum of 20 cents for plastic bag. However, these are carried out differently for some states, because some states like Penang, they charge 1 ringgit for each plastic bag. In Sabah, they charge for 20 cents for plastic bag. So it's up to us. It's up to if we go to shopping malls, right, and we want to use plastic bag, they will charge for 1 ringgit. It's up to us. Do you want to pay more for a single plastic bag? Yeah. And customers are encouraged to bring their own food container. And last 2 years, in 2020, a circular economic roadmap (CER) for plastic, including bottles, launched to be implemented in 2022, which is this year. Because 2020 we didn't do much because of the pandemic, right? So it's done online. And last year, they had the technical workshop in developing capacity of all the stakeholders in implementing the circular economy roadmap. And this year, they plan to widespread the uptake of bio bag nationwide, replacing plastic bags and sold as SKU item. And no straw by default practice still continues in more states in Malaysia. And the expansion scope of biodegradable and compostable products like food packaging, plastic bag, what else? Beauty products packaging and so on. So if you go to Watson, if you go to any beauty store, you can see the packaging of some beauty products really change from plastics, sometimes to paper, to more eco-friendly material. Okay, do I have any slide after this? Okay, it's okay. So yeah, some states really no, previous slide. Thank you. So some states really doing this well in terms of carrying out this action plan, but we still depends on the state government to carry this out. Hopefully by 2030 we can at least cut off the emission of carbon dioxide because of this plastic, and hopefully we can do it well. So that's from me. Thank you.
All right, Miss Norita, thank you for the wonderful sharing just now from the problem statement whereby in Malaysia it is currently heavily polluted with plastics because people do not recycle their plastic, and also the lack of uniform policy framework in Malaysia. Hence, the government in Malaysia has come up with Malaysia's roadmap towards zero single-use plastics in plastics 2018 until 2030. And then in this sharing also, Miss Norita told us on how Malaysia handle plastic pollution. First is by making straw an option. In Malaysia, I currently see and I currently experience it myself. In any restaurants, straw is an option. So if you were to see at the trend now, they use rice paper straw and also they use metal straw as an option, as a substitute for plastic straw. And also the second one is that Miss Senorita told us that plastic bag for shopping are charged based on where you are. It doesn't matter which state in Malaysia you are, be it in Pulau Pinang or in Sabah. If you do not bring your own shopping bag, as in your own recycled shopping bag, you will be charged for that particular bag that you will be carrying your items out from that particular shop. Wonderful. Thank you, Miss Senorita, for the amazing sharing just now. All right, moving on to our second panel. Although, once again, Miss Alice is not with us, but she has prepared us a video for this round. Let's watch her video. Technical team.
So for the second question, it really surrounds what my work is based where I'm from. I actually work on the international stage, but I'm originally from Indonesia. So I can talk a little bit about how international policy then flows into local action on the ground pertaining to the Nature Conservancy's work. So the Nature Conservancy does work in Indonesia, and a lot of the policies in place are really trickling down to the grounds. For example, Article 6, which is an article in the Paris Agreement, was finalized to figure out how to produce carbon markets. And carbon markets is really about how you're going to trade a carbon dioxide emission and give it or to someone else in exchange for payment. And so we're hoping that through an international carbon market scheme, there'll be a way to get to the place we want to be as a mode of payment to conserve areas. So the Nature Conservancy, from its name, has very strong focus on nature-based solutions. And so a lot of these carbon credits that the Nature Conservancy really works on surrounds forest conservation or ocean conservation. Now, Indonesia is focusing more on a domestic carbon market rather than an international carbon market. And that means that the domestic, that means that they're not really trading a lot of the carbon credits with other countries. Rather, they're hoping to trade the carbon credits within the country. And by doing so, hopefully meet their goals to contribute towards the Paris Agreement. And so those goals are highlighted in something called a nationally determined contribution, called an NDC. and they're updated every 5 years. And so two ways that an international climate policy like me could engage is through figuring out what are their policies that they're submitting. So there are many different documents that a country has to submit to the UN, including an NDC, like I mentioned, or for adaptation, it's like a national adaptation plan called a NAP. And so when they're submitting these things, a lot of the time they can come to an organization such as TNC to figure out and consult about whether certain elements can be included, how wording is, etc. And so that's really important in which way that we can help contribute to how a country will eventually create policy. But the second thing TNC is really good at is then after you create a policy, implementing it. So a lot of the carbon credit work that is done in Indonesia flows from the policy into the local action. And so there are a lot of assistance in creating a very strong nature-based solution carbon credit market by creating projects that are credible and not shady in any way. And so by using these standards, TNC really can advocate for high quality carbon credits and then also have a system on the other side when it comes to policy. So lots of things have to come together for these things to work. And I admit I have only been working for less than a year, so I don't know how much of a real impact I've made, but I think everyone has to start somewhere. And I wouldn't say the cliche, I don't like to say the cliche, but if everyone cared about the environment a little bit more, I think we would be in a much better spot than we are now. So that's a little bit about my work and how it helps in surrounding Indonesia. And yeah.
All right, the video from Miss Alice just now was so wonderful. According to Miss Alice, her job as a climate associate is focusing on carbon market, whereby how to trade carbon dioxide to receive payment. I think that is what a wonderful implementation of green wherever Miss Alice is currently are to ensure high quality of carbon. All right. According to Miss Alice also, everyone has to start somewhere. If you care a bit, it will contribute a lot to the world. Thank you, Miss Alice, for the wonderful video just now. I hope after you have safely arrived to wherever you are going and watch this YouTube video, you are glad that you are with us today. Thank you, Miss Alice, once again. Moving on to our third panel from the Philippines, Mr. Emmanuel. Without further ado, the stage is yours.
All right. Thank you so much, Carl. We have had two amazing discussions in regards to this topic. The question is how do we really implement the concept of preserving and conserving nature in the country? There are a lot of environmental advocates right now, but is it enough? We study in the environment, we study the importance of our earth in school and classes. There's a reason why we have science and math and all these things. It's all a science. Yet, do we learn this? Yes. But do we practice it? Is it practical? Is it something that we can be so fulfilled in a personal way? If I were to put it in one word, is it relatable? Because if it was relatable, for example, if it was relatable into such a way, a relationship or a K-drama series, there are a lot, for example, in K-pop, a lot are K-pop stars. We're fans of a lot of individuals, right? We have a lot of fandoms. We have a lot of needs and wants, but our wants sometimes outcast the need. And the preservation of the earth, of our environment, is a need that isn't being emphasized. So does that mean that we as individuals, we as students, we as advocates haven't understood the importance of the environment and our earth? Some don't, because unfortunately we are in this state of privilege. Some don't because they aren't affected by it. But what is one phenomenon that affected everyone? That's the pandemic. And you can't say that the COVID-19 pandemic Um, ha- it took a pandemic for us to realize what what would be of harm to all of us if we actually don't act together. If again, let me reiterate, COVID-19, everyone is affected. And we all want it to die. We all want it to end immediately, right? It's been 2 years. It's we did it there. Yes, it's not like an environmental issue where we failed to do something to prevent it. Well, there was, of course, in policies and all that. But going back to the environment, um, it's as worse as getting a COVID-19 pandemic. It's as worse as that. But why hasn't the action been there? Because then and again, we aren't being affected. I love this quote so much. I got to hear this quote in a documentary. What do you do to eliminate plastic? What do you do to eliminate waste? If it's best put in this analogy. In a bathtub, what do you do? Do you stop the tap or do you remove its water with a pail? What would be more efficient, right? In this analogy, the water running in the tub for it to overflow is the waste. The waste will continue to produce if we do continue to produce it. Having a pail recycling these waste aren't is great, but isn't sustainable enough. And so the tap has to stop. The producers have to stop. I would have loved to have this discussion with the Singapore panelists because we recently had the COP26, which is very ironic because why? Who's funding it? Who's supporting it? The biggest waste consumers, from fuel, from Shell and all these companies to the biggest manufacturers and to the sachets and to the products that you see today. Yes, they may be doing corporate social responsibility, but what we're trying to forget is that they actually do more harm than good. And that's the same aspect, that is the same analogy that we have, that we can apply as students, as consumers as well. A simple sachet, there has to be a lifestyle change. It's good to, it's good to have it. I really do commend us recycling, segregating our waste, but it isn't enough. And the fact is, if we can't go past phase one, how much more do we go off phase two? And that remains to be a challenge. Do we know about the impact of the environment? Yes. Are we doing something about it? No. Is segregating enough? These are questions that I would like to throw our audience off. I try my best to make this very simple but direct and personal to all of you, because this issue, the environment, is a it should be personal. Don't wait to be a victim of the problem in order for you to create a solution. And I'm not going to be speaking of bias as someone from the Philippines who has to dwell with 20 to 25 typhoons every year, getting scared and anxious of individuals losing lives. We shouldn't wait for that to happen. And so I hope that we all really take that deep reflection, because if there's one direct impact that the environmental effects that is wrong and that has polluted our nations, our countries into the worst, who would it be? It's always going to be the people of poverty. It's always going to be the homeless. It's always going to be those that are vulnerable and do not have the privilege that we have. So what do we do as individuals that are listening or watching here today? Do better, be better, and think into a more long-lasting way, especially if we want sustainability to not just be a word, but to be a culture that we actually do enable. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel, for your sharing just now in round two. I was intrigued. I was attracted to one of the phrases that you have come out just now, whereby we know, but we don't care. When pandemic hits us, it made us realize that when you work together to implement something, something impossible become possible. teamwork is the key for us to implement the concept of green in wherever you are. It doesn't matter what gender you are, how old you are, or what you are currently doing. As long as you have the heart to care, we can succeed. Even the most biggest thing can be done. Impossible become possible. All right, thank you, Emmanuel, just now for the amazing sharing. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear from our fourth panel for today's program, Miss Naura. The stage is yours, Miss.
Okay, hello. Thank you, Carl. So, speaking of implementing the concept of preserving and conserving nature, by the way, can I have my PowerPoint, please? Okay, so basically, Indonesia is as we all know, Indonesia is a country that has significantly high rate in biodiversity in plants and animals. But at the same time, Indonesia has also lost a lot of its biodiversity in both plants and animals. But mostly plants due to various things such as loss in habitat, climate change, etc. And one of the strategies that has been implemented is through the development of biodiversity parks outside of the forest area. So basically, the biodiversity park development program in Indonesia, it has been regulated. It was regulated in regulation of the State Minister for the Environment, number 29 of 2009. This was concerning the guidelines for conservation of biodiversity in regions, and it was also stated in regulation of the State Minister for the Environment, number 3 of 2012, and it was actually concerning the biodiversity parks itself. So, for example, in Jakarta, with the decreasing quality of the environment, especially in areas that we don't have forests, like it's a big city, we don't have that much forest area, it mostly just buildings. It requires efforts to conserve biodiversity through the development of biodiversity park in the region itself. So therefore, the presence of the biodiversity garden itself, it can actually be used to maintain local biodiversity, which has become increasingly rare. For example, in Jakarta, the icon of the city is called salak condet, which is a tropical fruit that is endemic to Indonesia. But unfortunately, this fruit has becoming more and more rare as people don't really know much about this fruit anymore. And with having biodiversity garden, it would be great if Jakarta had a garden where the garden there we can plant actually the salak condet so that we can maintain the existence of not just salak condet but also other plants that are already endangered. That's it from me. Back to you, Carl.
All right, what a wonderful sharing just now from Miss Naura. Miss Naura highlighted that in Indonesia there is this one particular fruit that is endangered, that is going to extinct if people is not aware of its existence. Hence, biodiversity garden is a must in order for us to preserve this particular fruit so that it won't go extinct, so that our younger generation can also enjoy the fruit as we have enjoyed it. All right, thank you, Miss Nora. Last but not least, Miss Farah, our second panel from Malaysia. The floor is yours.
All right, thank you again, Carl. So first of all, before I say something about implementation of Malaysia in the concept of preserving and conserving the nature. So first of all, I would say that preservation and conservation are the both processes that protect the environment, but their approaches are somewhat different on how it should be. So the goal of preservation is to protect the environment from the harmful effects of human activity. But when we speak about conserving nature, we are really talking about taking care of our future, but because nature provides essential resources for our survival and enjoyment. So in Malaysia, as Miss Senorita said, we are having a severe pollution that is plastic, of course. So there are many implementations that we can see in Malaysia we change from plastic bags to reusable bags. We change from plastic straws to metallic straws and paper straws. Although paper straws doesn't seem a bit matches in our mouth. So such as we can see from a factory that is named by Nestle, they implement the concept of nature, which is the change the plastic straws on the Milo box drink to a paper straws. And this might be a good start for our country to use less of plastic bags. Um, so this is a good start for our country. Next, we implement the concept of conserving and preserving nature as an example in Sabah. The link between tourism and the environment is one that cannot be overlooked. As such, WWF in Malaysia or Worldwide Fund for Nature applauds the government move to continue developing the ecotourism sector in Sabah, but not only in all aspects. So one of the ways to implement green concept is by using sustainable materials or by approaching in every program that they do and also in their rules and regulations. So we can see that as time goes by, as years goes by, we are having a lot of skies building that reduce the green concept in our world. So this reduce the use of carbon dioxide or oxygen that we need in our daily life. So we have to support the reserve forests or anything that is green, because sometimes nature can really uh, can put our mind in a state of peace that we actually do really need. So the next is as Miss Senorita said, at some shopping mall or supermarket, we are reducing the use of plastic bags. So sometimes I do myself implement this concept by bringing our own reusable bags. As an example, when we go to a supermarket with my mom, so families, we buy some things. Um, we usually bring our reusable bags because 20 cent, even 20 cent, 30 cent, or 1 ringgit is really, really precious to us, because even when we go to the toilet, we have to pay for it, right? Okay. So that is my opinion on the use of plastic bags. So we are trying to reduce the use of plastic in this life, because when we live in this earth, we naturally care for our nature, even though we see people are trying rubbish anywhere. So we have to try hard to protect our environment, because we ourselves need it. So that's all for me. Thank you, Carl. Back to you.
All right, Farah, thank you for the sharing just now. So basically, what I can conclude from Farah's sharing just now is that awareness is the fundamental of implementing the green concept. If you, as a user, as a citizen, and as a human being, do not have the awareness to implement any action to ensure the concept of green stay alive in your country, there's nothing we can do to conserve and preserve our nature. In a nutshell, I can conclude based on the inputs from the panels just now is that we learn it in theory in class, in science, in mathematics class, but would we practice the theory? Would we make it into something real? Would we practice it in our daily lives, such as from Malaysia one, Miss Sonorita, she stated that in Malaysia, plastic pollution is handled by making plastic straw as an option. Plastic bag is being charged when you are buying something. While our second panel, Miss Alice from Singapore, shared shared with us that carbon market as a climate associate, they are currently working on carbon market whereby how to trade carbon dioxide to make it as to receive payment. And also in outset panel, Mr. Emmanuel, he stated that we know, but we don't care. That is the main thing that is currently happening in wherever we are. We know that our country is severely polluted. It doesn't matter what kind of pollution it is, but no action were taken. But this pandemic, this particular pandemic COVID-19 made us realize when you work together, anything impossible become possible. And for our fourth panel, Miss Naura, she focuses on the extinction of this one particular fruit in Indonesia. I forgot its name, sorry, Miss Naura. Oh, but by preserving a biodiversity garden, we can ensure that this particular fruit can be saved from extinction. Last but not least, Ms. Farah, our second panel from Malaysia, stated that as a user, we must also implement the concept of green. We do not wait the government to make policies. We as an individual must take action because that little thing you do today contributes to what is going to happen tomorrow. Fantastic. I hope viewers on YouTube can gain something from the sharing just now. Viewers who are still with us on YouTube, thank you for still tuning in. Your loyalty is much appreciated. At the end of the discussion session, there will be a question and answer session. To those who have further inquiries, you may state your question in the comment section and we will then take note of that particular question. It doesn't matter what question you are asking, but make sure it is an intellectual question that can be discussed in today's discussion. All right. After we have gone through the first round, getting to know the panel's background, the second round, implementation of green at where the panel are, and it seems that we have come to the third round for today's discussion, whereby we are going to look at the current issues on environment that is currently happening all around the world. As the saying goes, in order for us to take action, we must first know the problem that we are currently facing. Without further ado, let's hear from Malaysia one, Miss Sinorita.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So, current issue that is happening in around the globe now, it's the one I'm talking about is microplastic. It's new compared to the problem of plastic bags and plastic straws and carbon dioxide because researchers are still working on this. And however, we have to be aware of this as even though it's still in the earlier stage, we have to be aware of this. So when it became worse, at least we knew that this problem exists. So I want to show you a video about microplastic, about what is microplastic, from where is microplastic, how does microplastic works, and how microplastic affects us in daily life. Okay, technical team. Is it okay? The video I sent you, Carl.
Uh, it seems like the technical is having something going on.
Okay.
But it's okay. I'll try to.
Oh, it's here.
It's here. All right.
Thank you, technical team.
Microplastics. Microplastics are pieces smaller than 5 millimeters. Some of them are used in cosmetics or toothpaste, but most result from floating waste that is constantly exposed to UV radiation and crumbles into smaller and smaller pieces. 51 trillion such particles float in the ocean, where they are even more easily swallowed by all kinds of marine life. This has raised concerns among scientists, especially about health risks from the chemicals that are added to plastic. BPA, for example, makes plastic bottles transparent, but there's also evidence that it interferes with our hormonal system. DEHP makes plastics more flexible, but may cause cancer. It would be pretty bad if microplastics are toxic because they travel up the food chain. Zooplankton eat microplastic. Small fish eat zooplankton. So do oysters, crabs, and predatory fish. And they all land on our plate. Microplastics have been found in honey, in sea salt, in beer, in tap water, and in the household dust around us. 8 out of 10 babies and nearly all adults have measurable amounts of phthalates, a common plastic additive, in their bodies. And 93% of people have BPA in their urine. There is little science about this so far, and right now it's inconclusive. We need a lot more research before panic is justified. But it is safe to say that a lot of stuff happened that we didn't plan for, and we have lost control over plastic to a certain extent, which is kind of scary. Together, we can beat plastic pollution. This video was a collaboration with UN Environment and their Clean Seas campaign. If you want to take action to turn the tide on plastics, go to cleanseas.org and make your pledge.
Thank you, technical team. So that is one of the biggest worldwide issue, microplastics. Because sometimes, as you can see in this picture, you can see the tiny bits of plastics, but sometimes we can't really see it. We have to check using the microscope to see if there's plastic in our foods. So my university UCAM, we did research on microplastic, and this will be my thesis project after this. But the previous batch, they did research on sharks, because sharks is apex predator in the ocean. So by meaning apex predator is the last consumer in the food chain. So zooplankton ate microplastic. Small fish ate zooplankton, as you remember in the video just now. And big fish ate small fish, and then shark ate big fish. So this cycle going on and on and on and on, until eventually they found microplastic inside sharks, which we had been consuming. Maybe some people consume commercial fish, commercial big fish every week, as means we are consuming microplastics in our body. And we see how high the percentage is, how phthalates are in our body right now, from water tape, honey, from most of the products that we use every day. But we don't know about that. That's why we are not worried, and that's why we are not aware. Because we are not aware. And it is giving a bad effect to our body, because microplastics, they have carcinogenic properties, and they potentially cause cancer. And if we are blaming, like, oh, I hate cancer, not that we want it, but we don't know from where did we get that. And also, a question is microplastic banned? Because microplastic, we got that from cosmetics, even from our toothpaste that we use every day. There are microplastic beads in there. But in terms of being banned, currently United States, Canada, and UK are only the countries that implement basic microbeads ban. But in many countries like Malaysia, Philippines, Indonesia, we don't ban microplastic yet for now. Okay, next slide, please. From where do we get microplastics? The biggest factor of this is the scrub, exfoliating scrub, whatever scrub that we use every day, and also the toothpaste that we use with the microbeads. Colgate have a lot of type of microbeads flavors and whitening properties and stuffs. So when these beads went to our waterways, it end up in the ocean, and in the ocean, it end up in our foods, and it end up in ourselves. So what we can do actually, can we actually do something for this? Of course, we cannot say something to the manufacturer, but what we can do as a consumer, as a buyer, we can avoid them. Of course, it's not something that we can do overnight. Not everyone can avoid buying this stuff in such a short period, right? But we can avoid them in times, and don't buy product that contains microbeads, please. Colgate's, Darlie, apa-apa, whatever brand it is, don't buy anything. Scrub, if you need a skin scrub, make your own natural ingredients like sugar, oatmeal, and if you own a product that contains plastic microbeads, don't squirt down the drain. You can always use some wet wipes, just wipe it out and throw the tissue away in your trash. Just don't wash it away through the waterways, and it will end up in the ocean. So we actually can do something, but it depends on us. Do we want to do it or not? And we have to be aware about this problem, because if we check, actually we ourselves are containing plastics in our body. So it's dangerous because it will cause cancer, potentially causing cancer. Okay, so that's it. I'm looking forward for the next round. Thank you.
Miss Senorita, I have heard of plastic pollution, but never heard of this microplastic issue. Something new for us, something new for the viewers on YouTube, so that you can gain new knowledge by watching today's webinar. Green, where you are, as stated by Miss Senorita, this microplastic is within everything that we have in our daily life, such as the toiletries that we use, the food that we eat. It contains microbeads. And also, according to the video that Miss Senorita shared with us just now, it seems like we as a human have plastic addictive, is it, within us? Who knows? I might have plastic within me, Senorita might have plastic within her, Emmanuel might also have plastic within him. But then, ladies and gentlemen, it is okay to have plastic in yourself, but please don't be plastic to others. All right, thank you, Miss Senorita, for the amazing sharing just now in round 3. Next, our second panel for today's program, Miss Alice from Singapore. She will be sharing a video with us in this round. Technical team, the stage is yours, technical team.
So I really wanted to talk about the 5W and 1H on, adaptation and finance, which I have talked about previously. So, what the problem is that, adaptation has really been overlooked, and there are going to be countries in this world who face severe impacts of climate change. Some countries may even lose their entire island, such as small island developing states, because they don't have the resources, and they also don't have really the land to, combat from climate change, or, places that face severe drought, the global south, so many places in the world that haven't really contributed that much to climate change, but will be experiencing the worst impacts of climate change. And so adaptation really needs to be front and center. And so that's really the issue. And the second issue to that is, once you recognize that's an important issue, how is the finance going to come in to really make sure that these countries or communities get the resources that they need? So the first thing about adaptation that is a bit harder to solve rather than mitigation is that for mitigation, people just know, I just have to reduce carbon emissions. for adaptation, it's really very hard to quantify. How do you know that you've successfully become resilient against sea level rise, temperature rise, natural, the extremities of some sort of natural disaster? That's really hard to quantify. And because it's really hard to quantify, it's really hard to finance. And so countries that are wealthy tend to be very, very reluctant in figuring out how to pay this, because if they want to pay it, traditionally in the form of the loan, well, developing countries can't really pay back loans. And if they want to do it in the form of a grant, well, they don't really know how to prove that these things have been successful. So that's what the problem is. And who the actors are is really, I feel like, a developing versus developed world divide. Developed countries were responsible, but find it very difficult to assist in financing and assisting developing countries who have faced the worst impacts. So there are many things that are going to be happening this year. First, on financing, because I mentioned it's going to be an African COP, the African community has really rallied together to find ways of certifying adaptation to get similar to high quality carbon credits, like I mentioned earlier. There might be a way in which to certify a high quality adaptation project. It might have a very mix of standards, because you can't just say carbon emissions. You might have to say it successfully assists a population of 1 million. It assists in sea level rise in this way. And it's all these little things together that can determine whether something is, resilient or not. And so, that's one way in which it can be worked. There are many examples. Another way that adaptation finance is being talked about in the international scheme is in the form of reparations. So asking developed countries to acknowledge that they are responsible, which is one, very difficult. And then second, to give reparations to developing countries to be able to do so. And so that is called loss and damage, to pay for all the losses and damages that a developing country faces because of climate change. And so one way in which that could happen, that's a potential solution, but there are a lot of challenges in that, and one that governments don't want to have that legal liability, because how do you even quantify all the losses and damages that occur? And then second, how you get your country people to agree on getting funding for these things. Nobody really wants to fund this because it's unpopular. For example, if you go to the US, if you put this on a line item in the country's budget, people know that in 4 years, if a president changes their mind and the president changes, well, then that funding is gone. And then they've already promised for a loss and damage facility. So it's very difficult for governments to agree on this, but at the same time, it's essential. So that's basically how I feel I could help paint the picture of what's going on in the adaptation and finance realm. And there are many more things going on, of course, but I feel like I'm running out of time. So so I hope that gives you a better understanding. If you're interested in the international process more, feel free to reach out to me on my Instagram or something, and happy to talk about it further. And so there are solutions, but the way to get there is long and hard and will require a lot of technical support and political support. And I hope if you're someone from your community, go and talk to your governments, talk about the importance of adaptation, and see where they can help and what are the necessary things they need, whether it's about measuring adaptation successfully or finding ways to fund adaptation. These are really important issues. And
All right, what a wonderful sharing from Miss Ellis just now. The environmental issue that she has shared with us is regarding adaptation on the pollution or environmental issues, environmental crisis in small countries, whereby these small countries, they have no resources, they have no funding to fight this pollution. So they have to adapt. They have to be innovative. They have to be creative, because when you are stuck in a hard situation, you'll think critically on how to get out from that particular situation. This is a new issue. We always learn how to overcome the issue in environment. But Miss Alice just now, she shared with us that we, in certain places, in certain countries whereby there are no resources, there are no funding, they need to learn how to adapt to the environmental issues that is happening there. All right, wonderful. Thank you, Miss Alice, for the sharing just now. Moving on to our third panel from the Philippines. Once again, Mr. Emmanuel, the stage is yours.
All right, thank you so much. For today, what I was thinking about a perfect word to talk about, and I want this to be in contrary and really into my field, which is development studies. So let's talk about this one word called overpopulation. It's easy to define, but from the word itself, if we were to define it for a grade school student, essentially, it's the earth having too many humans, too many us, too many people. And this is where a lot of debate enters, because this is sensitive to a lot of what faith believes in. For example, me as a Christian myself, this is something that we are against. Whenever there would be policies such as in China, a one-child policy, two-child policies, it's something. These are topics that would really have huge controversial debates on. But at the end of the day, going back to the simplest reading, all about the environment, the tragedy of the commons, overpopulation is something that is really present. And so as much as ethics will enter that equation, there has to really just be a compromise. If I were to summarize the environment problem in one word, we're really not compromising. As a development studies student outside of the environment, we all fall through that trap. We want to solve the world's problems, but we don't want to act, and we don't want to compromise from it. I used to be a business student, and I took up also communication. I shifted to development studies because I realized that despite all the projects my nonprofit could do, whether we receive thousands of dollars in grants and applications, we really won't make that difference. The systematic change begins in all stakeholders. It starts with us and it begins with us. And that's really how we start. But the reason why these problems are apparent today is the same as all the other problems, such as corruption and inequality that is present. It's because we chose to be selfish rather than selfless. Someone is earning off of pollution. Someone is having the time of their lives. And unfortunately, the sad thing is, these are the elites. These are the richest of the rich that are being of benefit into the world that we are in. We can talk about fast fashion. We can talk about environmental issues left and right, plastic pollution, microplastics. These things have to be solved thoroughly. But if you come to think about it, these problems just multiply. Pollution creates more pollution, and you see this, the more diverse and micro problems that we have. If plastics has micro, what about the others, right? And so it's just really saddening to talk about it right now. But overpopulation, at the end of the day, for me, should really be achieved, and to solve it would really bring systematic change to our scenery. We're not going to kill people, of course. That won't be the case. The rate really just have to enact policies and to always adjust. If the economy, if prices in our countries can adjust based on the situation of the entirety of a nation, or of a state or of a nation state. Why couldn't that happen when it comes to us? You know, overpopulation is one of the biggest developmental issues, and it's the more individuals we have in this world, the more that there is of poverty, and the more there is of environmental damage. Because you know, if we were to look at it at a simple analogy, we can all be in this one bubble. We can all, you know, we may be a million individuals, and there may be 100 trees. At the end of the day, math science would tell you that that really just wouldn't be enough. And so, as much as we are procreation, as much as we have our own views based on our faith, it, ethics, ethical considerations, and understanding what would benefit and what would be the clear consensus for the sustainable development our society needs should always take place and should always be of priority in all of the policies that there are to be enacted upon. I mean, I want you to think of these countries that are overpopulated at the moment. I know some of us, a lot of us want to have kids, a lot of us want to have families. But at what cost do you want it to make? And so, it you know, when we speak about the environment, it's just really, I want it to be a reflection of our different roles in society altogether, altogether after reflection, a vision that we want to reimagine, whether for yourself or for others. And so that's on us. I end with that. Back to you, Carl.
Thank you, Emmanuel, for the wonderful sharing just now. So, in this round three, when we are going to talk about current issues on environment around the world, the first thing that we are going to have in mind is that the air pollution, water pollution, land pollution, sound pollution. But in today's discussion, it is different. From Malaysia, one, she's sharing with us microplastic. From Singapore, Miss Alice, she's sharing us the adaptation issues in certain countries, while in Philippines, Mr. Emmanuel is highlighting the overpopulation whereby Earth has too many humans in it. And these humans, they are not compromising. They are not doing their responsibility as being with higher intellectual level. They are being selfish instead of selfless, and this leads to pollution, whereby more pollution create more pollution, and it goes due to this overpopulation. I'm sorry. Yes, Mr. Emmanuel, is there something else you would like to share with us in round three?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel, for your sharing just now in round three. All right. Moving on to our fourth panel for today's program, Miss Naura. The stage is yours.
Okay, thank you, Carl. Can I have some help with my PowerPoint, please? Yeah. Okay. Okay, so speaking of environmental issue, perhaps I'll talk about it in the perspective of Indonesia. So can we go to the next slide, please? So what is actually happening in Indonesia? What is happening here? Can we go to the next slide? So yeah, so basically the answer is a lot is happening here right now. There's so many things that is occurring in Indonesia. One of it is probably deforestation, which is most of it are illegal, do illegal logging and such things. Also, this deforestation is also caused by, the usage of land, because Myers has also talked about this overpopulation, and this deforestation also cause wildfires, which then cause heavy smoke on parts of Western Indonesia, even all the way to Malaysia and Singapore. I guess you guys are impacted by it too, which then contribute to air pollution and worsened by the industrialization. And there is also water supply and sanitation issue in Indonesia. Basically, as for water supply and sanitation issue, it is characterized by poor levels of access and service quality. And Indonesia itself, almost 30 million people lack the access to an improved water source, and more than 70 million of the country's 264 million people has no access to improved sanitation. Only about 2% of us here actually have the access to sewerage in urban areas. Okay, can we go to the next slide, please? So basic okay, not this one. And after this, please. Okay, I think they miss a slide. Actually, there's a slide after this. So why is this actually happening? There is a lot of reason as to why this is actually happening. A lot of things are responsible as to why this is happening and the root cause. Is there any slide where about population density and rapid industry? Okay, thank you. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, so I think there's two slide miss here. So, but basically, Indonesia itself, the root cause of the problem is mainly population density, which again comes back to overpopulation. As what Myris has said, Indonesia is a currently developing country and is continuously growing. And environmental issues are mostly related to the density of our population and the rapid industrialization that are happening. We are basically on the third position of highest population density in Asia, and we are also one of the countries that has high birth rate. And one of this is because the lack of the implementation of family planning program. A lot of people has a lot of child, and which then worsen the poverty rate. I think that's it from me. Thank you.
All right, Naura, thank you for your sharing just now in round 3, current issues on environment around the world, focusing on Indonesia, whereby Miss Naura stated that population density and also the rapid industrialization in Indonesia is the main issues on environment that we should be aware of as a human being on Earth. All right, so the world is currently chasing the industrial revolution, although it seems like our industrial revolution is somewhere somewhere improving, is somewhere getting better, but it is going to affect the green around us, whereby in Indonesia itself, as stated by Miss Naura, the rapid industrialization in Indonesia has caused air pollution in Indonesia. It also affected its neighboring country, Malaysia, whereby in Malaysia, certain times we will be having air pollution, haze, whereby some people, they will have respiratory problems, they have difficulties in breathing due to this air pollution. So, viewers on YouTube, we must know the current issues on environment that is happening around the world. We must pay attention so that we can create something that we can help to stop or even to prevent these issues from spreading even more, because we human, the more we learn, the more we develop, the more creative we can be, and we can do something when we are creative. All right, thank you, Miss Naura, for that sharing just now. Wonderful. Last but not least, Miss Farah, Malaysia too, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you again. So, for this round, I think there are so many current issues on the environment that are happening around the world, even there are not so much news in the television or social media, because as the moderator said, that we are chasing the industrial revolution uh, around the world. So can you please go to the next slide, please? Next slide, please. Technical. Okay. So when you see this picture, yeah, one thing impact affects another thing. So as we do a small, simplest thing, that we think that the simple small thing that we do, that it could affect the world big bigger effect. So yeah, you can see at the pictures we are chasing the technology thing in this world. So many current issues on environment that we are we are what we say doesn't even care about. So um, there are many current issues on the environment, especially pollution, as Ms. Senorita said, microplastic, repression, overpopulation, anything that start with this can affect another big things, such as yeah, there are no green surround us. So there are many environment issues such as pollution, global warming, water disposal. So when we talk about pollution, there are very variety of types of pollution such as air, water, soil, noise, radioactive, light, and thermal. And these are primary causes that affect our environment in many ways. All these types of pollutions are interlinked and influence each other. Therefore, we need to tackle all of them together. Pollution of air, water, and soil requires millions of years to recoup. Industry and motor vehicles exhaust are the number one pollutant in the world. So as also heavy metals, nitrates, and plastic are toxins responsible for pollution. So this is some of the pollution that need to be cared by us, not because we need this green for our life, but because something that green makes human realize that we need this green. So if we see around the world, we see where there's a fire, we would we would see that the forest in the fire would make us hot in many ways. Like we need some sort of protection to ourselves. So there is also lead to global warming, climate changes like global warming are the least are the result of human practices like the emission of greenhouse gases. So global warming leads to rising temperatures of the oceans and the Earth's surface, causing natural disaster that include flooding that happens recently in Malaysia, and melting of polar ice caps that you can see if you Google it or anywhere you can search it. You can see that the melting of polar ice cube is overflowing right now. So there's a reduce of ice in this world. So there's also a rise in sea levels because of the melting of ice, and also unnatural patterns of precipitation such as flash floods, hurricanes, wildfires, drought, excessive snow, or desertification. So yeah, this is the current issue that we need to take care of. So that's all from me. Back to you, Carl.
A picture is worth 1,000 words. Thank you, Farah, for the wonderful sharing just now in round three. Current issues on environment around the world. There was so many sharing from Miss Farah just now. I can conclude that for the technologies that we are enjoying now, that smartphone, that leather jacket, that full coated jacket that we are wearing now, that we are enjoying now, there are parts on earth that are suffering. For instance, when we have this global warming due to the CFC gases or even the greenhouse effect that we are enjoying, although our country is enjoying all of this, but then it will cause global warming, whereby the ice in the Arctic, somewhere around the pole in North Pole and South Pole, they are melting, and the polar bears, they are suffering. So, ladies and gentlemen, for everything that you are enjoying right now, there are parts on earth that are suffering. But it's not wrong for us to enjoy this thing, but we must have the knowledge. We must aware that everything we do or everything we take or enjoy, there will be something that is going to suffer from our action. It doesn't matter if you realize it or not, but there's always a two side to a coin, as the saying goes. All right, wonderful. I hope viewers on YouTube can gain something from the sharing in round three, current issues on environment around the world. I can conclude from this round that we need to pay serious attention regarding the issues related to environment that is happening all around the world, regardless of who you are, what gender you prefer, or even how old you are. As long as you have the heart to care for the environment, because once it goes black, it will never go green again. All right, that's it for round three. It seems we have come to the final round for our discussion. Viewers on YouTube, thank you for still tuning in with us. If you have any questions relating to today's discussion, feel free to drop it in the comment section and we will see through it. Last but not least, in the final round, panels will share ways to address the issues on environment that were discussed in the previous round, as in what can we as an entity do to handle or to face the issues related to the environment that is happening all around the world. For instance, the microplastic issues, the adaptation issues, the overpopulation issues, the population density, rapid industrialization, and also the issues related to the advancements of a country. Without further ado, let's hear from Malaysia one, Miss Senorita. Once again, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Carl. Addressing of this issue to the first thing we have to ask is address to who? Are we gonna address this to the government? Are we gonna address this to the manufacturers, the suppliers, or are we gonna address this to the general public? So, as a student, or as an individual, as a buyer, consumer, at least as somebody who cares, we can do something, even if it's a small step. We start from the baby steps. We can do something to tell others to change. Change what? Change our mindset, change our lifestyle. And some people might say, oh, we are so small, we are not powerful enough to speak to the government, we are not powerful enough to speak to the manufacturers. But actually, our action in everyday life, everything that we do, actually they are listening. If we come together to speak, really show them what we are facing, actually they are listening and they are watching. It's just that they want to do something or not. So if we want to address this to the general public, right? Because general public will be the closest to us as an individual. And if we want to address this to the general public, this will be the best way. Giving small talks, gathering with all these people that are familiar and at least care with the issues about our environment. It is already a good first step to raising awareness, especially among citizens and in our neighboring countries like Philippines, Indonesia, Singapore. And as we can see, there are still no big impact happening. But why is there still no impact? Even though there are a lot of NGOs out there fighting about climate change and so on, not only in Malaysia, also in Indonesia, Philippines, and also these neighboring countries, and also in the big developing countries. There are a lot of NGOs working, fighting for this climate change. But why are there still no impact? Because the problem is not everyone in the community. In fact, very less of the communities are paying attention to this matter. Even though there are a lot of NGOs, there are very less communities paying attention to this because they are not affected. Just like what Mr. Myers said just now, they are not affected, and there are a lot of problems they face instead of there are a lot of problems they have to face instead of thinking about this whole climate change problems. Because clearly, it's not the problem. Oh, I have to pay for bills. I have to pay for my car, my kids to school. Why do I have to care about this climate change thing, right? And the fact that we are the third world countries, it is not easy. It is not something easy to go green because our countries are still developing in economy compared to other countries like China, US, UK, big countries. They are well-developed countries, and Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, Singapore, we are still crawling in this economy compared to these big countries, right? And because going green is in general is not cheap. It's very it needs a good finance plan and a big power to make this happen so fast. Not to forget about how we manage our waste in Malaysia or in anywhere around the world. Managing our waste is very important because our waste will end up everywhere in the world if we don't manage it wisely. And we need a good finance because we are still crawling in this economy. We are not able to provide a good finance for this matter, and it's important in changing towards greener environment to have a good management for our waste. But as we can see now, people are pushing for more sustainable products process. Like car companies, they are planning to produce fully electric car by 2050. But these countries that are planning to produce fully electric car by 2050, are they able to supply clean energy for this? Electric energy. Because Malaysia, main energy source is electricity. Main energy source for electricity is coal. We get electric energy from coal combustion, and it still causes a lot of carbon dioxide emissions. And palm oil is one of the biggest export in Malaysia, but it's causing the biggest pollution because in processing the palm oil, they will cut off trees, which leads to deforestation. And in my state, in Sabah, you can see a lot of forests were cut off just to plant this palm oil. And Sabah, a state that used to be so diverse with rainforest area, now were polluted with palm oil plantation, because they use a lot of the areas in Sabah to plant this palm oil. And in order to clean the palm oil, we use a lot of heat energy, and this process produce pome. Pome is palm oil meal effluent, POME. It's a wastewater generated from palm oil milling activities, and it requires effective treatment before discharge into water course due to its highly polluting properties. However, this processing pome process, it's not effective enough. So when we release this pome into the wastewater way, it's giving it's adding to the pH of the water, which leads to algal bloom. And algal bloom is one more biggest pollution that happen in the ocean and also in the coastal area. So going green, if it's not easy for third world countries like us, it's not something that will happen overnight. It's not something that will happen in a few years. We need something really, really big and well planned in order to do this. And the best thing we can do is actually for us is leading by example. So spreading awareness are the best thing we can do now, but if we are here, it doesn't matter if we are here, we talk about things, we advocate people. The point of knowing, there's no point knowing all of this if you don't take action. So we have to execute, do it, and go to recycle center, help them because they need a lot of works to do. They need help and they need a lot of helping hands. Because for example, right, if you go to recycling center, you want to recycle your book. Let's say I want to recycle this book. And in the recycle center, they have to check every pages of this book if there's any staples stick. And they have to remove every staples in order to be able to recycle this paper. So please go to the recycling center. You don't have to go to recycling center to recycle stuffs only, but you can lend some hand to help. So again, there's no point knowing all of this. There's no point spreading awareness together in this if we don't take action. So we have to execute and start today. That's all. Thank you, Carl.
All right, Miss Sinorita, what a wonderful sharing in the final round, addressing the issues on environment that were discussed. I am attracted to your opinion just now, as in addressing the issues. To who? Who shall we address this issue to? The audience. Who is our audience? We must have a clear view on who our target audience is. For instance, as stated by Ms. Sinorita just now, the public general. The public general is the audience, is our main target for addressing the issues on environment that were discussed. But how do we address these issues to the public general? We can address it by raising awareness. But then it comes to how can we raise awareness? And then Miss Norita said that we must lead by example. When we go to the recycling center, we can go there even though we don't have anything that we need to recycle. We can go there to volunteer. We can help people at the recycling center, and that is an example that we can show to others that we care about the environment. We care about the issues, the green issues that the country is currently facing. All right. As what has been said just now, people are not affected. People might be green, but comprehension is something that is hard. As the saying goes, communication is the key, but comprehension is actually the actual key. Wonderful. Thank you, Ms. Norita, for round 4, addressing the issues on environment that were discussed. Next, our second panel for today's program, Miss Alice. Although she is not with us in today's discussion, but she has left us a video that contains the information that she wants to share in round 4, addressing the issues that on environment that were discussed. Technical team, the stage is yours.
So I think the last round, I won't really be able to contribute, but I guess I'll have some parting words, which is that, I personally find that working in the climate field can be extremely discouraging. You know, the longer you stay, the longer it can be very easy to become disillusioned. I hope that you can find a community and mentors that really believe in the cause and that can keep your spirits up. It's really hard when you're all alone and you're trying to fight against a big cause, and you know, climate change really requires systemic change. And an individual can feel very overwhelmed and isolated when it feels like that person is all alone. So, you know, really surround yourself with like-minded people, really find great mentors. You know, there are people who have been fighting for this for years. You know, scientists have known this for ages. So if you can find happiness with the community you're in and find purpose, in there, I hope that you can recharge and find hope. And the environment is a great place to be in. I hope everyone can be in the environment in some way. I hope that everything in the world is sustainable to the point that we don't even have to think about it anymore. So even if you decide not to do climate change directly, I hope that, you know, sustainability will always be part of what you do. Thank you.
All right, what a wonderful brief sharing from Miss Alice just now. She stated that climate change can be discouraging. It can cause us to feel alone at some times. So find support in the circle that you are currently in. Find support, find happiness, be who you want to be, because with that support from that particular circle that you are currently are, you can encourage others to address the issues on environment that is happening around the world. Through the support that you gain, we can change, we can together change. Although, as the saying goes, if you were to work on something alone, the work will never be done. But if you work on something together with others, you can make miracle. Miracle can happen together in teamwork or everything, as long as you don't work by yourself. Wonderful. Thank you, Miss Alice, wherever you are. I hope you are hearing this discussion today. We had a wonderful session from your video in the first round, second round, third round, and fourth round. Unfortunately, you cannot be with us in the question and answer session. If you can be with us in the question and answer session, I believe the viewers on YouTube, even the panels here in Google Meet, they are very intrigued on asking you questions related to climate change, related to environmental issues that you yourself as an associate in the in the climate, as a climate program associate in the Nature Conservancy. I'm sorry, I have forgotten that what your background is, Miss Alice. But then again, thank you for the wonderful sharing just now, Miss Alice. All right, moving on to our third panel from the Philippines, Mr. Emmanuel Mirus S. Ponon. He has shared with us very many interesting things in round 2 and round 3. I cannot wait to hear in round 4. Without further ado, the stage is yours, Mr. Emmanuel. I'm sorry, Mr. Emmanuel, you are on mute.
All right. Thank you so much again. Good evening from here. We have had an amazing discussion. Yeah, these amazing ladies. Of course, we have the virtual lady as well. But now we're here to express our thoughts on how we can express the issues. I believe I have given already some pointers because I really do want our viewers to think of ways while we were discussing the problems. Number one, a simple tip, this does not only apply to environmental issues, but this does apply to any issue out there. Essentially, fall in love with the problem, not with the solution. I want to specify on the previous speakers sharing, because there are a lot of civil society groups, there are a lot of climate change initiatives, but are they effective? Some are not. Some are not through its best potential. Why? Why is the question? it's because we especially youth organizations out there tend to focus on the solution without, without looking at the problem. There are a lot of sources, yes, but it's good to have, it's good to be in the field. It's good to do field work. It's good to be in the grassroots communities. It's good to know what the perspective is. You can't say it. I understand that because of the COVID-19 situation, we have had a lot of virtual or online activists, but it doesn't stop there. You go on the ground. You can't say, "Oh, we should stop climate change" in your room with your AC and with your lights on without using renewable energy. It doesn't stop there. You may know. Going back, we talked about knowing theory and action, but sometimes before you do act, you know theory, and then you confirm and validate theory as well. Not everything that you see in your literature, in your books, in the research is going to be applicable in all nations. Yes, some are going to be scalable, some will work, but some will not, especially to those that are going to be affected the most. And so that's where that's where development work is really special compared among the others. It may not be it may not involve math as much, but it will include social science, and it will include time in order to change these communities. And so, as we talk about solutions, I wanted to get that out of the way first. Second, how do we engage all stakeholders? Of course, the youth will have a big effect. Our population is growing now more than ever, and again, going back to my first statement on the first questions, what have we talked about? We talked about us knowing it through memorization, through lectures, but it doesn't stop there. I I really also urge, there's two stakeholders that I want to address this. Number one are the students. Number two are the academic institutions, the education system, the Ministry of Education. In the Philippines, we call it the Department of Education. It should not stop there. You the curriculum isn't perfect, and it has to adapt in ways that would make it, that would make the scenery, will make the collaboration harmonious in a lot of ways. And so, the education system, of course, plays a role in that. Number two, which we always have been talking about, is the government. The government is the biggest stakeholder in any policy making decision. And and the best thing that we can do is to become active citizens with a social responsibility. We have to be participatory citizens in order to enact change. Why are we important as citizens? The government serves through us. The government serves us. And the reason why we should unite and that's why nonprofit groups, civil society organizations, your student organizations are very valuable, because once our voice is united, it becomes amplified. Going back, I believe Carl said this earlier. You can't go. If you're someone who recently watched the documentary and wanted to change the world, you don't book a grab. You don't book a grab and go to your prime minister and shout, "And plastic." You don't do that. That doesn't work. That's why there is going to be strength in numbers, and so we do that through governance. And so, these two examples, this gives you this perspective of how valuable all stakeholders are. It's not just the government who's going to solve the problem. A lot of us rant about the government. We understand. I understand you. I rant about it too. But don't be a hypocrite and rant to the government. If you yourself are lazy at home, you can't dispose, and you're a consumer of plastic. That's hypocritical. Don't expect the God to do everything. And this is why the misconception of climate change is happening. We tend to depend on emergency emergency, dependence should not continue to happen. We always hear the cliche, change starts with you. And in climate change, I hope that we resonate that quote with full integrity with our values, because then and again, it's us that is going to be affected. So you see how important all stakeholders are, from the academe to our scholars and researchers, through the youth, through the marginalized sector that want to voice out their concerns, through the media. The media also plays a big role of spreading this problem as if, the media loves clickbait. The media, sorry, I will rephrase that. Some media are still profit oriented. A lot of us are still profit and self oriented. And at the end of it all, this climate emergency, climate crisis is going to have to deal with a lot of compromise. And if we are not able to do that, then we can't solve climate change. Whether we focus on one topic to solve, whether that would be my population, these problems are structural problems and does not change overnight. It has become a culture. And so how do you overcome a culture? You start a culture yourself. You become part of a new culture yourself. And that for me is how we become advocates, because as an advocate, we are supposed to be there in changing the things that we see that are not something better. Then that is why I call myself a Filipino youth advocate, because an advocate, especially a youth advocate, has the responsibility to change what is to what should be. And as we continue to see the things that should be like that, should be like this, in Gen Zs and in millennials that are so outspoken in social media, then the rest, if we can, if we can have the same energy on how we deal with the things that we hold of value, then making the environment of value and of purpose eliminates this climate emergency and problem that we have. Thank you.
Grabe. Thank you for the sharing just now, Mr. Emmanuel. It was so wonderful. Fall in love with the problems, not the solutions. I think that is the best answer to describe this round for addressing the issues on environment that were discussed, because when we fall in love with the problems, we get to know what is the problem, who is responsible for the problem, when is the problem, where is the problem, how do this problem happen. Also, I am attracted to one of Mr. Emmanuel sharing just now, whereby you need a culture to fight against a culture. This thing whereby people are not aware of the environment issues because they are not affected by the environment issues, has become a culture somewhere around the world, or even in country X, country Y, country Z. We are not naming any country. Has become an issue, has become a culture. So we, as a student with intellectual level higher than animals, or we as human beings with knowledge, because we are students that are currently taking tertiary education, we must start a culture whereby we must raise the awareness of people from all over the world. It doesn't matter who they are, even if they are older from us. If they are not aware of the environmental issues, we can start by educating them, by telling them that, hello, auntie, this is wrong, you should do this. But then again, be sure not to cross any borders, be sure to remain humble, be sure to always be respectful when you are with your elders. Wonderful. Fall in love with the problems and not the solution. Thank you, Emmanuel, for the wonderful sharing just now. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear from our fourth panel for today's program, Miss Naura. The stage is yours.
Okay, thank you, Carl. So I think I'll talk more on what we can do, basically as youth or as younger person or even as individual. So I think what's important is to have an environmental education programs, like to be educated, to be aware of what's happening. So basically, by learning more about the subject, by learning about what is currently happening to our environment, and that is like one of the easiest way to make a difference. And then who knows if you will be able to help educate others too in the long run. Like for example, in Isaac Binus, we have this initiative called Youth Without Borders. So basically, Youth Without Borders is like a set of series of talk show where we talk about fighting climate change with sustainable materials. And yeah, other thing you can do, I think, includes investing your time, perhaps volunteer for the cause, and really educate yourself and learn more about it. And if possible, if you have the resources, donate to organizations that are making an impact on environment issue. And but I think most importantly, when you are applying volunteering for such cause, you can be part of the change itself. And I guess that's it from me. Thank you, Carl.
Be a part of the change. That is from Miss Naura just now. All right. So Miss Naura stated that to address the issues on environment that is currently happening all around the world, an environmental program need to be there, because through environmental program, I'm sorry, we can address the issue. We can help youth on how to think and how to address the issues the right way, because as we all know, youth nowadays, when they think of a problem and then they think of a solution, they address the solution in on papers only. They do not know how to address the issues in real life. They only know how to state, as in, if you have a question in examination on how do you address the environmental issues, and then there will go essays, thousands of words, blah 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 blah. But then will they actually do, will they actually implement what they have written in their daily life? That is a question for the viewers on YouTube to answer themselves. Be a part of the change. All right, Miss Naura, thank you. What a wonderful sharing from you in round 4 just now. Last but not least, Miss Farah Malaysia too. The stage is yours.
Okay, so I am amazed by the opinion of other countries. So I have nothing to say actually. So, but what can I say is that there are many ways for us to do to solve the problem of the environment issue that we discussed on the previous round or surround us. Um, but the ways that we are trying are keep failing. Like they are not affected in a good way, and but we as a human, as a student, as a committee, or as a person that loves the nature, we have to keep trying. We have to keep trying to protect the environment, even though we know that some ways are not affected to us, to surround us, or to our family, even to our brothers sisters. So what can I say here is keep trying, keep doing the same thing that you do, but improve some a little bit of the ways, such as um, uh, um, reduce the use of plastic bags, recycle your rubbish, or avoid littering and participate in or help organize litter cleanups. Like as we can see that even we are on the road, like in the car with our parents are like they usually litter the rubbish outside the window of the car. So this is the one thing that um, we should approach because they are the closest person to us, and this is the way that we can help protect the nature by saying that mom or dad, that is not the good way to throw your rubbish. Maybe you can keep it first, and then you can find any rubbish around the place. Like, yeah, every place have rubbish bin that we can see in a biggest way. So um, yeah, like books just now, we can recycle the books, like swap books with others. Don't buy the same books with your friends, where you can swap your books to another friends, like donate or electronic devices, anything you can do with your friends and families to help keep the environment safe, clean, or fresh air that we have and need right now. So we have to understand the importance of nature and biodiversity nature for our own well-being, that can really help us to help the nature. So use public transport or anything that you can do to, yeah, like the other panel I said, you have to lead by example before you say to other people that they should do this, do that. So you are the main character to every people's life, set by example. So that's all for me, Carl. Back to you.
Thank you, Miss Farah, for the wonderful sharing just now. You are the main character of your own story. Do not let others be the main character. Hello, please. You are the main character in your own life. All right. So what Miss Farah was saying just now is that going green is not something that is happen overnight. No, it is impossible. But we must keep trying. We must always try and never give up. Understand the problem and improve in ways that we can overcome it, and then keep trying, keep trying. Who knows, one day miracle might happen, like a physician, Thomas Edison. I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but after several attempts of making a bulb lights up, and then failure, and then one time success made a bulb light up. That is the same analogy as the current situation that we are facing. Although going green seems impossible right now, but if we keep on trying, if we keep on raising awareness on about environmental issues to others, who knows, one day, one particular day, 100 years from now, we might be able to go green instead of black. Who knows? As the saying goes, go green because it's free. All right. In a nutshell, I can conclude based on the inputs from the panel just now is that from Malaysia One, we need to know who we want to address the issues to. Because, yes, we can do whatever we want, but if that particular thing that we are doing is not reaching to that particular person responsible for that particular thing, pointless. What you are doing is just pointless. And then from Miss Alice, our second panel from Singapore, she said that although these all environmental issues, this climate change can be discouraging, but find support, find happiness in your circle. Through that support, it can elevate yourself to be more proactive in raising awareness in others. And Mr. Emmanuel Mirus Esponon highlighted that fall in love with the problems, not the solutions. Because when you love something, you get to know them better, and then you get to understand and improve as a human being. And also, Miss Naura stated that youth nowadays, they are not exposed to any environmental issues. So environmental program is a must. So that in Isaac Venus, they have Youth Without Borders, whereby Youth Without Borders highlighted the ways of how youth can do something to have an impact on the community. Last but not least, Miss Farah highlighted that we are the main character of our own story, and that in our life we must keep on trying. It doesn't matter if others are not feeling the same. If you keep on trying, maybe one day miracle will happen. Wonderful. I hope viewers on YouTube can gain something from the sharing just now. To sum up today's discussion, we can conclude that to go green in overnight is impossible, but we can fall in love with the problems, be aware of it, get to know it better, and that's where not you, can contribute to change. Change starts with us, not as an individuals, but as a community. Together, we can be better. Before we proceed to question and answer session, let's take a 5-minute break. See you again on 11:36.
Welcome everyone. We are so excited to have you here today. Right now, we are at Harun Aminurrashid Residential College, or in short KHAR, one of Sultan Idris Education University Residential College. In this virtual tower, our student council committees will be showing you around the college. We're also going to show you some fun and unique things KHAR has to offer. KHAR offers 6 residential blocks for Sultan Idris Education University students to reside in, with Block 1 until Block 4 offered to female residents, while Block 5 and Block 6 for male residents. Each block can accommodate up until 288 residents with houses per floor. All houses have 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a sink. Parking lots in front of the blocks are also provided for residents to park their vehicles. One of KHAR's way of taking care of its resident welfare is by providing each block with a water dispenser machine. Residents can fill up their water bottles without having to go to the cafeteria. Vending machines are also provided for residents who has a knack for sweet drinks. In addition to a football field, KHAR also provides its residents with outdoor courts where they can play sports to fill in their leisure time. It also helps promote healthy living amongst the residents. Our college office can be found right before you pass through the gates to enter the residential blocks area. Residents can come to the office to report on facility damages to the administration for further actions. As a part of the Residential College Student Council, we have our own operational room situated at Block 5. Doubling as our workspace, we will meet up to discuss and brainstorm ideas together for future program planning. There are times where we will also do meetings at a cabin situated behind the college office with administrators for management matters. At the heart of each residential college is cafeteria. Residents can come to the cafe either to dine out or do takeout at one of the 8 eateries that sells a variety of dishes. Residents who wish to buy groceries can also do so at KHAR's Minimart, where they sell basic necessities such as toiletries and laundry detergents. Residents are also provided with self-service laundry at the back of the cafeteria. KHAR provides 4 washing machines and 5 dryers for them to use to minimize their time in washing their clothes. Other facilities at the cafeteria includes an ATM machine for residents who wish to withdraw cash and do banking transactions. KHAR's hall is situated on the first floor of the cafeteria and can fit up to 1,000 residents at one time. It is equipped with basic facilities for the residents' usage. Sport equipment and traditional costumes are also stored at the back of the hall in their respective rooms. Washrooms are also provided on both sides of the hall. KHAR Lounge, a lounge run by our very own student council committees, is situated in front of the hall. Residents can come hang out at the lounge from 7:30 p.m. until 11 p.m. to do their revisions or group discussion while enjoying a variety of snacks. When visiting KHAR Lounge, don't miss out on its trademark dish, the Oden Bowl. Transportation is also provided for students to commute around the campus. Residents can choose to ride the bus based on where it's heading to, as each bus has its own fixed route. The bus is scheduled to pick up residents every 30 minutes, starting from 7:30 a.m. up until 11 p.m. We hope you enjoy the visual tour prepared by Harun Aminurrashid Residential College Student Council. Stay safe and don't forget to wear masks. Thanks for watching.
Welcome to
Welcome everyone. We are so excited to have you here today. Right now, we are at Harun Aminurrashid Residential College, or in short KHAR, one of Sultan Idris Education University Residential College. In this virtual tour, our student council committees will be showing you around the college. We're also going to show you some fun and unique things KHAR has to offer. KHAR offers 6 residential blocks for Sultan Idris Education University students to reside in, with Block 1 until Block 4 offered to female residents, while Block 5 and Block 6 for male residents. Each block can accommodate up until 288 residents with 10 houses per floor. All houses have 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a sink. Parking lots in front of the blocks are also provided for residents to park their vehicles. One of KHAR's way of taking care of its resident welfare is by providing each block with a water dispenser machine. Residents can fill up their water bottles without having to go to the cafeteria. Vending machines are also provided for residents who has a knack for sweet drinks. In addition to a football field, KHAR also provides its residents with outdoor courts where they can play sports to fill in their leisure time. It also helps to promote healthy living amongst the residents. Our college.
All right, hello everyone. It is me, Carl Tatius Edwin, again, your moderator for today's program, webinar Green Where You Are. We have come to the question and answer session. In this session, we will be selecting a few questions from the YouTube or the audience on YouTube, whereby this question is related to the topic of discussion that we have been discussing in round 2, round 3, and round 4, whereby in round 2 we were discussing about implementation of green at where you are. In round 3 we were discussing about current issues on environment around the world, and in round 4 we were discussing about addressing the issues on environment that were discussed in the previous round, in round 3. All right, in this particular round, I will read any question on YouTube that is related to, and I will randomly assign it to each one of the panels that we have in the Google Meet. So there's no such thing as this get this, Senorita get this question, Farah get this question. I will randomly assign. There's no such thing as receiving favorite from the panels. All right. So straight away, the first question is that a question from Korean character, a question from YouTube by a Korean character, whereby I think it is a she. She stated that I want to ask a question. People are hyped over the trend of using stainless straw, the metal straw. do you think that the trend is really working on saving the turtles? All right, so this question, it seems like assigned to our first panel, Malaysia one, Senorita. Since you are currently taking Bachelor Science in Marine, I think you can really explain something on the usage of stainless steel. Does it really helps on saving the turtle?
Okay, it became a huge trend in the past few years, right? Like using metal straw, using silicone straw, paper straw, and so on. However, I don't think it is effective enough in order to save the marine lives because it doesn't matter if you are using whatever kind of straw. The thing that matters is how do you manage your waste. If you are using paper straw, metal straw, it doesn't matter. Even if you are using plastic straw, it doesn't matter. But the most important thing is that where do you throw the trash away? Because poor waste management will eventually lead the trash. It's not only plastic straw, but also plastic food packaging, beauty products packaging, even the microplastic that I stated just now. They will end up in the ocean eventually if we don't manage our trash and waste well. So for me personally, I don't think using this stainless straw is effective to save marine life. But in the other side, I think using metal straw will reduce the waste that we produce. Will at least reduce the plastic waste that we use. So yeah, thank you, Carl, for that.
Wonderful, Senorita. So, from what I can conclude based on Senorita answer just now is that it doesn't matter what kind of straw you are using, be it steel, wood, rice paper, or even the silicone straw, as long as you know how to use it and you know how to manage it, as in waste management, it's good to be used because plastic is not the turtle's enemy. Let's be clear. The turtle's enemy is not the plastic, but plastic people are the main enemy for turtle in the ocean right now. So don't be plastic, viewers on YouTube. Be sure how to be sure you know how to manage your waste after you have used it. So, all right, that's the first question we have heard from Senorita, since she is one of the students currently taking Bachelor Science Marine. What about we take this question through a very different perspective from a development student, Mr. Emmanuel? What is your thought on this question?
Yeah. Thank you so much for that question. I have encountered metal straws a lot, and for some it may be effective, for some it may not. And the question in regards to this is how many until today are using these metal straws? First, as someone who wears braces, it's not. It's as I have a very, very close friend who is a dentist who would say it's not really for them. It really can't be for those with braces. But and number two, going back, how many actually use these things, these metal straws everywhere they go? How many actually have that initiative to bring these straws of theirs? Do you once you buy milk, the boba as we so love, do you use these straws that you have? And so I believe there's the making of carbon emissions in these. There are some that were done effectively and efficiently. There are some that were produced not so. There are some manufacturers, sadly, that we have today that, and not just in metal straws, but in a lot of industries that tend to make a quote unquote recyclable product, not knowing that they actually you know produce bad things on the environment, to put simply. And so again, it really does depend on how one uses it. it has been a trend, but now that it isn't a trend, how many do you see use metal straws until today? Is it only something you place in your frappuccino and flex and put in your IG story so it would be aesthetic, or is it something that you are actually using to protect the environment, or is it something that we use for cloud chasing, as simple as that? And so that's my take on that. But yeah, this is a very open-ended question. I believe there's no right or wrong answer in regards to this particular topic. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Emmanuel, for your answer just now on the question, the trend of using stainless steel straw or metal straw. All right. So basically what Emmanuel was saying is that it is particularly the same as what Miss Senorita was saying just now, is that how you manage the metal straw or whatever kind of straw you are using is the main key on how we can help the turtles at the ocean. All right. I have read somewhere whereby it stated that electric cars, the Tesla, although the idea is brilliant, it can go green, it can help the environment, blah blah blah, and so on. But the implementation, when they are designing, when they are building the electric cars, do you know that they are actually producing pollution when they are making parts of the car, such as the batteries, they can contribute to environmental pollution. So it is the same as the metal straw, although the product itself is very brilliant. But in the designing phase, in the building, in the implementation phase, in the what making phase, yes, manufacturing phase, that's the word, it is very damaging to the environment, because yeah, metal, you need to have a lot of knowledge on how to handle a metal so that it won't be corrosive to others, and you have to test it out in many things. All right, moving on to the next question. All right, so the next question will be dedicated to Malaysia, to Miss Farah. The question is that I have one question: how can an educator or teacher get involved to promote going green besides teaching students on subject related to science, biology, physics, chemistry, and so on? The stage is yours, Miss.
Okay. Um, so the question asked that how an educator or teachers help in this green. Okay. So in my opinion, yeah, many things that educators can do, because they are educators and they are the lead to the new generations to start a green in their surrounding. Like what I used to do in my secondary school is that there are green programs that are being held by at our school, and that is we by planting the trees, by planting the some of the fruits at a section where there is a house at there. So educators really help in providing a green educating thing to the new generation. Since yeah, most, although we are in online right now, but most of the time students are with their teachers, but also educators also means by their parents. Their parents also are their educators. That these parents, yeah, could be an example to their children by leading the green thing to the surrounding, and how is it beside like teach the student related to science. Maybe yeah, we stated just before the round three, in round 3 or 4, we stated that yeah, lead by the example to the students, by telling them not to do the wrong thing, telling them do the right thing. So basically it's in a general way that educators can do. to teach the students. So that's my opinion, Carl.
All right, Farah, what a wonderful approach as a student taking education in science. I myself am a student in education, majoring in physics, minoring in economics. And this question is that what can you do? What can a teacher or educator do so that we can encourage our students to be actively involved in green activities? So the first thing first is that we need to lead by example, because let's be honest, when we are young, when we are in the youth phase, especially teenagers or even the kids in their 7 years old, 12 years old, they tend to follow what they see. If the teacher is behaving according if the teacher is behaving go green, they will follow the teacher to be go green. But if the teacher is displaying something irresponsible, so that is where the issues can be. So that I think that is the answer for the second question. I'm opening this question to either Mr. Emmanuel or Sinorita. If you have anything to add on this question, as in how can an educator do to promote going green besides teaching to students? All right, it seems like Mr. Emmanuel and Miss Sonorita doesn't have any addition to this answer, because leading by example is the main answer. Yes, Mr. Emmanuel?
No, we wanted to answer the question. It was like we were raising our hand. I was giving my
Oh,
hand to her because she should be first, and she was
oh,
also giving it to me.
I see. I thought it was like
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
no. Okay, Mr.
No,
Emmanuel, if
no,
you
no.
may.
No, as an educator, there's a lot of things that you can do, definitely. It also comes to teaching. How can I make sure that the individual that I'm speaking, that I am teaching to, is inspired and actually takes action and actually learns beyond borders? Because I really have my fullest respect on teachers, because it's hard to be a teacher, especially at this time. My dad is a teacher, and I know how difficult it is to teach, especially with a group that is not interested to teach, but is interested and are solely there for grades or for the institution. And so, the challenge is to make sure that what they're learning is practical, not just in theory, in notes, but as something that can be done. And you know, education has changed over the years through different projects, through different worksheets, to group work, through video presentations and all that. But yeah, there's really no perfect solution to that. But what I would say is to let them directly see its impact. There's a reason why film is amazing. So whether it's a documentary, whether it's inviting someone that has been affected, whether it's a TED talk that talked about how deadly one bottle can change the world, these things, it won't be the success rate won't be 100%, but you will eventually, in one way or another, you can. These measures can definitely, um, help a lot. Oh yeah, so that's my answer. But I just also want to plug this. I love Senorita's name. I remember the song Senorita. Just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel. If I could add up some points to that, educator and teacher. Teacher, we always use teacher in school, but educator, they don't just educate in school. So we educate everywhere, and instead of just teaching science at school, like just the theory. Oh, we have to recycle. This is the way to recycle, and giving homeworks on sustainability and so on. We could bring them out, experience how to actually do it. Learning soft skills is one of the important things to do with the students, so they will know what to do outside of the classroom. Actually, not only in class. We can always educate them from home, and doesn't have to be. It doesn't have anything to do with the school. Also, you have to have a good relationship with us with anybody that want to teach, anybody that you want to educate, and with that relationship, we can do anything with it. And if you have a good a good approach for them, then they will start liking it, start doing it, just like how you do it. And once again, leading from example. That's it.
All right. Well, wonderful answer from Mr. Emmanuel and Miss Sinorita, whereby they stated a very wonderful answer regarding experience. Okay, so recently, because we are talking about experience, I have stumbled upon a TikTok video whereby it stated that in life there are two kinds of people, whereby when you experience things by hand or be it from others, you improve from them and you improve yourself to be a better person. That is the first kind of person. And the second kind is that when you experience something by hand or you get experience from others, you are being ignorant, you ignore their advice, you ignore what they have advised you experience, then it is as if their advice meant nothing. So that is basically what a teacher do. You need to make you need to make an experience for the students so that they follow, they be someone better. Be the first person whereby you experience something, you improve yourself, not the second person whereby you experience something, you be ignorant and then you just sleep. The experience is there, stuck there. All right. It seems like Miss Naura is not available right now, so it will be a discussion among the four of us. Feel free to reach out to me if by chance you have question for me or anything else, panels. I'm open to answering any question. All right, so this is a question from YouTube stating that, hi, I would like to ask, is the organic product like facial treatment or organic food really help the environment? I'm opening this question to any panels that are interested in answering first, or should I randomly assign this question? Okay, how about you, Farah? What is your opinion regarding this question? Do the product like facial treatment or organic food really help?
Again, like Miss Senorita said from the previous round, there are varieties of special treatment or organic food for facial. That is like we can see scrub. There is organic scrub, but there are also like Miss Senorita said, microplastic in it. So for me, it does not really help the environment for me. So I think Miss Senorita have something to say with this question.
Okay, thank you for directing the question to me again. So what was the question again? Let me reread. Hi, I would ask if that is the organic product like facial treatment or food really help the environment? Well, if it's compared to the chemical product that we use, of course it is helping, because organic products like organic foods, they reduce the chemical exposure as it contains fewer pesticides for us, and at least for the waterways that we use, and waterways that we produce. I'm sorry, and in in the in the making of these products also we practice less pollution. So I guess it helps. How about Mr. Emmanuel? Do you have anything to say about this?
Yeah, definitely. you know, in terms of, being things organic, yes, because the more it is based on plants, the more it is based on natural materials, there won't be much carbon footprint, there won't be much carbon wasted, and it's easily recyclable. That's what organic things are. But of course, when you make a product, let's say, organic oranges, there's the one thing that we do know is that organic fruit, anything organic is more expensive, and so it is actually targeted in a market. There's marketing now. It's catered to a specific niche. It's for a specific market, and so it will still eventually be waste, given that it's limited and its sector where it's catered to is low. So I understand that there are alternatives. Does it help? Yes. It would beg you to question these things. Why didn't we have organic products all this time? Why does it have to be more expensive and all that? And so, we understand how plastic and how man-made things have made lives, machines, and our lives easier through inventions left and right. But yeah, I guess a development answer to that would be it depends. It depends on the current situation. It depends on the product. And yeah, but I am a big believer of organic products, and they are called organic for a reason. If we were to shift entirely to organic products, I believe that would be big. But to have an alternative which would make some supplies be wasted, that's something that I wouldn't want to have. So I hope that I was able to give you the three of us that were able to give you different perspectives when it comes to dealing with um, organic products here, left and right. Thank you.
Thank you for the wonderful answers from our panels, Miss Farah, Mr. Emmanuel, Miss Sinorita. So first thing first, viewers on YouTube, if we are going to discuss about this question, does organic product really helps? We need to know what is an organic product is. An organic product is something that is not affected by the usage of chemicals, whereby organic fruits, they are grown without any chemical pesticides. They are man-made pesticides like like the stool from certain animals, like they made it as a compost and then use it as a fertilizer, something like that, away from the usage of any chemicals. So viewers on YouTube, if we are going to discuss this, you need to know what is organic product and how you use that organic product, and through how you use that organic product, how will it affect the environment? How would you manage the waste? As in, it doesn't matter how you use it, but the after you use it is the crucial part, whereby I believe that when we talk about organic product, we use it, but do we use it until the very end, or do we use it until maybe quarters of it left? And then how do we dispose of it? Do we throw it just like that, or do we like actually keep it or plant it somewhere? That is a question for you viewers out there to answer on how you manage your waste of organic product. It doesn't matter if you support or not. What matters is how you handle the organic product, because that will contribute to the environment quality that you are currently facing. All right, that is the 1, 2, 3 question. And then it seems like since Miss Naura is not with us, we will limit the question up until 5 question only. So the next question is that another one, what do you think of people who smoke cigarettes indoors to avoid population to the environment outside? I think this is like a question that is very easy, but then an easy question sometimes can make it hard for us to answer because we don't know what perspective we are going to look. Miss Sinorita, if you may share your thoughts on this question.
Okay, smoking inside. Let me find the question. Okay, another one. What do you think of people who smoke cigarettes indoors to avoid pollution to the environment outside? Doesn't matter where you smoke, inside the toilet, inside your home, inside your bedroom, the chemical will go out eventually. So doesn't matter where do you smoke, inside your kapot also, the chemical will go out eventually because of the air circulation inside of your house and outside of your house. So it's good that you try to smoke inside to reduce pollution outside, but there's no change. So yeah, the emission will be the chemical emission from the cigarettes will still be the same. It will go out eventually. So right, Mr. Myris?
Yes. No, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, I'll continue from here. It seems like what this particular person were asking is that if he or she were to smoke indoors, and then will it will the smoke spread outside? But then, based on science theory, the carbon dioxide will eventually go outside wherever you are. If the windows are open, it will eventually spread to the outside. Just because you don't see the smoke after you blow the cigarettes doesn't mean that it won't spread to the outside.
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
Hey,
that's
let me
the
share something
yes.
before we go to the next question. I'll give you a situation, a real life situation on why on the many barriers when it comes to creating environmental solutions. I respect those who smoke. I personally do not smoke. My family does not smoke. I'm in Colorado right now, and I'm sharing that I'm in Colorado not to like brag that I have cold weather. Well, I actually I do miss the Filipino weather, our ASEAN weather at the moment. But I'm sharing this because weed or marijuana is legal here. I will not try, yes, but it just give I'm sharing this to give you to give you the scenario. If we understand that cigarettes are bad for health, which is proven, why is it still being legalized? And I believe in that, and I hope that you answer that, because in that question of mine, that would give you the perspective of how the government, how the private sector in terms of Marlboro and these countries and these companies would work, and how us individuals portray and see leisure in comparison to 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 smoking. So of course there's smoking, there's vaping. These are things that are present, and then and again, like what I've said, such as overpopulation, this and a cigarettes regard, that's over pollution, and so who will compromise who and when? If no one will, we'll see what you all we should be expecting what to happen. So that's something that I'd love to add. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel, Miss Norita, for the wonderful answer just now. Smoking is not a crime, but where you smoke affect what's going to happen to the environment. A very good idea from both panels just now. All right, so uh, the organizer told me that Miss Naura is eventually going to join us later because she was having an emergency just now. And then particular maybe after one question she'll be here, but if she's not here after this question, maybe we can proceed to the next session, photography session, or how we will see through it later. So there's a question that really intrigued me, that attract me: how to create green culture in an effective way in university. As in, just now it was stated by Emmanuel that you need a culture to defeat a culture. You need a culture to attack a culture. So, in your opinion, what is the best ways for us in university to create a culture whereby through this culture we can engage with other culture, and then we can promote a better quality of living nowadays. Miss Farah, it seems like you have not been answering any question. So this question will be for you.
Okay, so as a committee, okay, like um, in a program we would be joining some other program like we used to do back in 2 days ago. Um, we held a program that is green, and this is one of the way to defeat another culture, that is the bad culture. So yeah, joining to another committee or another organization in other states or country, or even and across the village or something. This could help to raise the awareness in awareness for the green. So in my opinions, making a lot of programs together, such as practically or theory, or like what we do right now is webinar. So that is how we could defeat the another bad culture. That is for me.
Thank you, Farah. So what you were basically saying is that for us to create a culture in university, we need to have the networking. We need to connect with people from all over the world, or eventually starts from your university first, and then maybe your state, and then your country, and eventually the whole wide world will be easier to be connected with if your base is very strong. So getting to know others, regardless of who they are, what gender they prefer to be called, or how old they are, is a way for us to create a culture. All right. So I'm opening this question to either Mr. Emmanuel or Miss Sinorita to answer. How do we create a culture in a university? So, Mr. Emmanuel, would you like to go first? As the saying goes, gentlemen first. It's ladies first, but then we'll twist it. Gentlemen first.
I thought you mentioned Miss Emmanuel. That's why I reacted. But um, yeah. Let's go back to the question, shall we? Where do we want to focus our question, Carl?
The question is that how do we create a culture in a university, Mr. Emmanuel?
I believe anyone can make a culture in the university. This is organized by a student council, and so when I was talking about policies of the government, I was talking about us participating in our community. And so, in a school setting, this is where this is one example of what a grassroots community is. So it's the student and the student leaders. If you're part of the student council, then lobby for green spaces. You're a student council for a reason. You can create policies. I know that there may be bureaucracy that may happen, but you're there to mandate laws. You're there to mandate things that would be of the benefit of the community. And it's not going to be easy. There is going to be a majority, but there will be times where it's going to be difficult. Let's say you ban smoking, but there's a 30% population in your university that smokes, and so you're really again, it's policy making all through that. It really is a challenge of compromise. But in lobbying for an act, in lobbying for laws, whether it's in a national, whether it's in your country, whether it's in your city, or whether it's your simple university, you have to have facts, you have to have figures, you have to have for communication. You have to communicate with one another. You have to be transparent. That's why there's a student government. You're there to govern. You're there to govern, to understand all situations, and eventually come up with a solution that would be for the benefit of all. What would it be great for us to have a law, to have a campaign, to, but I would rather prefer a law, or um, you know, a policy or a program that would, enable us, maybe make an organization under the university that would, create green spaces that's focused on that. Maybe get an enactus is very big. ISEC is in most universities. Why not have enactus as social entrepreneurship be promoted in these places of ours. And so these are just things that I'm throwing left and right that have been done and are yet to be done by universities. But this is simple, you know. Again, we can make a difference no matter how big or small it is. Whether you're at your house, you know, whether you have the goal of forcing your parents or persuading them to switch to renewable energy, whether it's you, you know, to your friends, whether it's so to have the platform in your university would really be big and would really make a long lasting impact. Maybe force your school to go into renewable energy. Maybe, you know, have, let's say, Earth hour every 10th of the month and actually, and, you know, make dorms turn off their lights for at least an hour. Maybe, you know, these things, we can be creative with them, but I hope that we remain to be intentional. There's a reason why laws are mandated. There's a reason why we have the capability to know, you know, to create these things that we know are that we know is difficult. We may have experienced it or not, but given this opportunity, given in the privilege that you are in, how much do you want to use it? And so it's something that I would like to ask to an employee at Shell or to an employee of PNG, of Head and Shoulders, you know, the shampoo, or to a simple individual, a simple member of a student council, whether you're a president or just a volunteer. And so we all have that question, and um, I'm not expecting you to like have a solution that we can go overnight or have our own non-profit organizations left and right, but for us to contribute effectively, for us to be there whenever we need it the most, is going to really be of benefit to, and which would define the effectiveness of a policy-making body in a university, such as the student council. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Emmanuel. It seems like Miss Naura will not be joining with us in the question and answer session. Before I'm going to end this session, Miss Senorita, do you have anything else you would like to add as in how to create a culture in university?
Yes, a bit. I think this is why Carl asked me to be one of the speakers, because I think he saw one of my WhatsApp story that day. I went to the cafe and I brought my reusable cup, and the auntie in the cafe, they knew me for bringing that cup every day. So what they did was, since we use the reusable cup, they will reduce the price by 50 cents. And if we use our own reusable containers to take out our foods, they will reduce the price by 1 ringgit. So it became cheaper. So when a lot of friends knew about that, they will be like, "Hey, you got the same size, even bigger. My mug was even bigger, and my neighbor's mug was even bigger than mine, but we got the same price as the others, those who are using the single-use cup." So they were like, wow, this is a good deal. Then I'll start using mine also. So I think this is how this is a good way of, this is a good approach my university did, my college did. They reduced the price by a lot, actually. And a lot of students actually started doing that, bringing their own containers, cups to the cafe. So that's the small step of how we approach people. It's a good approach, I think. So thank you.
So we need to approach people in order to create culture. All right, Miss Senorita, what a wonderful, wonderful sharing from the three of you, from the first round until the fourth round, entering question and answer session. Unfortunately, Miss Naura cannot be with us due to emergency at her place. So I would like to announce that to higher institution in Malaysia, the attendance link is open for you to register. Don't forget to sign in the registration link so that you can get your e-certificate, international e-certificate. The link is also open for others from other country, maybe Miro's friend, who knows. Oh, Miss Nora is here with us today. So I would like to, I would,
Hello, hello. So sorry for the trouble.
all
It
right,
was very
Miss.
chaotic.
It's okay, Miss Nora. Miss Nora, we were actually discussing on the last question just now. It seems like we will not be going to another question, but we would like to hear Miss Nora opinion or answer for this question, as in, because just now we were discussing about you need a culture in order to fight a culture. You need a culture in order to engage with other culture. So in your opinion, Miss Naura, what is the best way for us to create a culture in a university? What is your opinion, Miss Naura?
I think when we were talking about the culture, it all comes back on how the university are implementing it. For example, in Indonesia, there's actually a regulation about smoking. So, like in higher institution or in school areas, smoking is something that is forbidden. And like in my university itself, there is also regulation about trash. Like if you throw trash not in its place, then you will be fined and things like that. I think everything comes back to how the university and the people that are there can really understand the essence of like what are the value of the culture that we are shaping, how we as an individual, as someone that really want to make the change, can really make people understand what is exactly the point of what we're going to implement. How can we shape the freshmen into thinking the same way, not necessarily the same way, but at least have the same, are in the same page with us. How we can tell them that we have to be in the same page in order to reach this, and not by forcing, but really by making them understand the point of what we are doing, the point of why we are having such policy, and that is also in order to build culture, right? I think that's it from me. Thank you, Carl.
Wonderful, Miss Nora. It's okay. We were actually going to end this question and answer session, but we were currently waiting for you. Perhaps you're going to enter soon. So we decided to elongate the question and answer session just specially for you, Miss Nora. So basically what Miss Nora was saying is that to create a culture, it depends on the institution. What is the institution main goal? Is it to create a culture that understand others, or is it to create a culture whereby you do things then sleep and then the other day you don't do anything, something that a culture that that can neglect you anytime? It depends on the institution that you are currently are. It doesn't matter if you are in an education institution or any kind of institution, as long as the main objective for that institution is to create a culture that can shape peoples or youth to become someone's better. That is how we can create a culture to engage with another culture. All right. So for students in Malaysia or even in outside of Malaysia, the attendance link will open until 12:30 o'clock. Be sure to fill in the form so that you will get your international e-certificate. It seems like we have come to the end of our discussion session. On behalf of the organizer and also as the moderator for Webmina Green, where you are, I would like to apologize for any wrongdoing while navigating the discussion. Apologize are not meant to change the past. They are meant to change the future. My name is Caltasius Edwin, and I'm signing off as today's program moderator. Thank you for joining us and have a nice day ahead. Back to the mistress of ceremony.
Thank you to our moderator, Mr. Caltasius Edwi, and also the guest panelists for the beneficial sharing. The event will now end with a photography session handled by Media and Publicity Committee.
Assalamualaikum and hi to everyone. I am Shirika Jamaan, a member of the Media and Publicity Committee. We will conduct the photography session. For the photography session, our guests are requested to turn on their camera. Please be ready. In the count of 3, 2, 1. One more time. In 3, 2, 1. Next, we will take a freestyle version. Is everyone ready? In the count 3, 2, 1. Again, 3, 2, 1. That's all from me. Thank you so much for your time and attention.
Thank you to the Media and Publicity Committee for the photography session just now. The photography session marks the end of our program for today. Thank you for staying with us until the end of the viewing. With that, thank you and see you again. Bye!
Telah tercipta sebuah sejarah, kehebatan gedung, ilmu yang indah, sehingga melonjak tamadun dunia menjadi laskar yang sempurna.
Disinilah bermula segalanya, sebuah titian pendidikan, menggenggam budi yang penuh arti. Dari SITC ke UPSI,
salam seabad suluh budiman, mendidik anak-anak bangsa dengan ilmu di dada. Salam seabad suluh budiman, namamu jadi sebutan dunia. Telah tercipta sebuah sejarah, kehebatan gedung, ilmu yang indah, sehingga melonjak tamadun dunia menjadi laskar yang sempurna. Pasti Harun menemani ibu tercinta berseri bersinar.
kepada seluruh warga UPSI untuk memastikan kita mencapai bintang. Kita kena bersatu, kita kena bersama untuk memastikan kita semua cemerlang bersama.